Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
No, Herb, I can't hear you.
Can't hear me?
Oh,
Playing, I see.
all right. Who do we have so far? All right, I see somebody that's not associated with the MUD, one of our residents. Can you provide your name, please?
Yes. My name is Meg Mooring. I live in section 17 of Anderson Mill West, and I do have an issue to bring up at the meeting.
Okay, we'll get to your public comment in a bit. Let me
Thank
just
you.
have everybody join.
Okay,
I'm
thanks.
sorry, how do you spell your last name?
Moring.
Beth said that she might be a few minutes late. She's obviously dealing with a really serious family issue, so she's trying to be here as soon as possible, but we may want to get started. I'm not sure how many minutes late she'll be.
I'll give one more minute for other people to join. If not, we'll start the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, I guess we should get started. Okay, so far I have Meg Mooring, and we only have one. That's all I showed you. Bill, do you show any additional residents?
No, that's the only one that's joined so far.
Okay, Meg, do you want to make a public comment?
Yes, please. I would like to.
Okay.
Yesterday, or not now?
Oh, wait, just
Later.
one moment, please. I'm sorry. Let me interrupt you real quick. How about an agenda item? Do you want to address any agenda items? 1 through 13.
Oh, not me. No, thank you.
Okay, no agenda. Okay. Okay. All right, I think that's all we have. So why don't we begin our public comments portion of the meeting? As you know, Catherine will not be here. She had shoulder surgery, so she's a little out of sorts today. So I'll be running the meeting, and we can proceed now, I guess. So go ahead, Meg.
I was gonna put this together with an image, but I didn't have time because of some work stuff that came up. So here is what happened yesterday midday. I'm sure some of you already heard about this. Austin made a press release, City of Austin, I think, that they had 45 proposed places for homeless camping sites in the Austin area. One of those, I live, in section 17, is less than a mile from my house on Anderson Mill Road, between 620 and Old Mill Road on Anderson Mill Road. And the other one is in an area called Lakeline Neighborhood Park, which is in Williamson County and in Cedar Park, but for some reason Austin owns 10 acres of land, quote, parkland, in the middle of Williamson County and Cedar Park. Now the area on Anderson Mill Road, and now this Lakeline Neighborhood Park is near Shenandoah, but it's very close to our area in proximity, and it's I think questionable because it's not even in City of Austin or in Travis County. This one on Anderson Mill Road is actually in Travis County. From what I gather, it is not in City of Austin, but City of Austin does own the land. And I would like to raise the issue of me and anyone else in this meeting probably being in Travis County or Williamson County regardless, but not being able to vote for City of Austin council people and City of Austin council people mandating, homeless rehoming policies near our house, which, I'm not trying to, I have nothing against the homeless. I think it's actually, for our area, it's an issue of we're not represented by Austin. Why? And essentially they're taking a downtown problem and trying to ship it up to Cedar Park, in my view. We're unincorporated, so it's a little bit tricky, with us getting Cedar Park to back us up or Williamson County to back us up or anyone, I don't know, but I thought I'd bring it to the group's attention. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. You had no agenda items, correct?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, no. I just wanted to raise this issue. I
Meg,
didn't even
thank
know
you.
there was a meeting today.
can I ask you a question? Is there a park in the location on between 620 and Old Mill? What's there? I thought they were building.
I think it's wood. Oh, that is wooded land. It is not a park. And it is, I believe, in Travis County, and it has an Austin address, but I do not believe that it is actually in the city of Austin. From what I heard, I did talk to the Travis Appraisal District CAD,
Mhm.
I talked to the people on that phone line, and from what they could see, it was actually not in the city of Austin as well, but it was appraised as a Travis County property and owned by the city of Austin. It was sold to them in 2008.
So it's not developed. It's not developed land.
No, it is not developed. It is 15 acres of land, and I believe that the surrounding areas are also owned by the city of Austin. So there is potential for growth there.
So
Okay,
it's
thank you.
on Old Mill and 620. I'm trying to visualize where that is.
If you turn left onto 620 off Old Mill Road, let me start all over again. If you turn left onto Anderson Mill Road off from Old Mill Road, and you drive, you kind of go down a hill and up a hill to get to 620. It's along that down the hill and up the
Right,
hill
right,
part.
okay.
Yeah, that
so
wooded area
it's
off to the
Anderson Mill.
right towards Austin. Correct.
Okay, all right.
I have an idea.
Thank you.
Now I know where you're talking about. Thank you. I thought somebody bought that to develop.
They did, but nothing's been developed there.
Only the commercial office has been developed there. City of Austin owns the rest of it, from what I glean.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
I show no one else. Oh, I see Jana. Jana, did you want to make a public comment and or an agenda item?
Hi,
Hi.
how's it going?
Good.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about the park survey that we're working on with the Park Advisory Committee. It's going really well, and we
Okay, so
put
that's
some,
the agenda item, right? You're talking about
is it an agenda
the,
item? I couldn't get it in time. I think, is
No.
it on the agenda tonight?
It's not, but she can do a public comment. It's not on the agenda.
yeah, it's not on the agenda, okay.
But she
Yeah,
can
I just
still do
wanted
a
to
public
say
comment.
that it was really good. We had several people that showed up for each areas, and it was a really good turnout, and we've had some good feedback on the survey itself, I believe, and some people were asking me that they couldn't log in because they were scared, and so we went ahead and I think Megan went ahead and she contacted Verdunity, and they did some hard copies of them. So if folks don't feel safe doing it online, then they can go ahead and fill it out one-on-one, just like fill it out old school, And so if they want one, we can leave it for them on their porch, or they can pick it up at 1000 Old Mill, or whatever they feel comfortable with if they want to participate in the park survey, the park planning survey. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I saw David, you're on now. Do you want to make a public comment or an agenda item comment?
Not today, Art. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. No agenda item as well, right?
Correct, sir.
Okay. Then we have one other caller, but they're not identified. Can you identify yourself, please?
It's Beth.
Oh, hi, Beth. Okay.
Hi, Art.
Well, I see no one else, so if that's the case, I'm going to close the meeting for public comment and we'll proceed on.
I can provide the addresses or a link to an article. Should I put them in like the chat for this meeting or something? Like the press release from City of Austin and the addresses of the properties I was discussing, just for the records? Or do you all have that?
I don't know, where could we put that?
I wouldn't put it in the chat. If you could send an email to the, let's say, Art, you can give her your email and she can send it to you. We'll distribute it.
Thank you. It'll be from mooring.meg@gmail.com.
Okay. All right, so anything, if no one has anything else, I'll close this part of the meeting for public comment. And Herb, we're gonna skip you today. Not skip you, but we're gonna let Michael do his bookkeeper's report first, and then we'll proceed on with you, and then we'll go to Megan on the management report. Cool? All right. Michael, are you there?
Yes, I am. And I am sharing the bookkeeping report. All right. Can you see that?
I can.
Outstanding. All right. So here in May, just reviewing the April financials. Always good to start off with a decent note. We're at over 98% collected thus far this tax year. And that's good news. That puts us, in a good place to end at 99% collected, considering that we shortfalled by several percent last year. So, that was definitely an item of concern about whether that was going to be an ongoing issue. Nothing really to say on the balance sheet. On the P&L, you can see that the revenue for the month is running about 36,000 ahead of budget. 33,000 of that, though, is the insurance reimbursement from the insurance company for the freeze event damage. So obviously, we're only running about 2,500 better than budget. For the year, running about 173. So take out the insurance, and it's about 140,000 better than budget. Most of that's water, and then the property tax revenue. And it's worth noting that we're only at 98% collected, so we still got at least one more percentage that we were expecting to get. But we've already taken in more than we budgeted for the year. We budgeted 1.789, and we've taken 1.810. So we're 21,000 ahead of where we expected to be, and still I expect we'll take in some more. In terms of the administrative expenses, sliding down, we are running over budget on that, and the bulk of that is legal, as it has been all year long. And then in the year to date, running about 145,000 over budget. And again, primarily the same sources there, and a little engineering as well. And then on the operating side, we're running about 8,000 over budget. 11,000 of that is bulk and water and wastewater purchases. So, you expect to end up over on those when your revenue is over. And our revenue for the month was over about 22,000, and for the year is over about 105,000 between water and wastewater. And the expense is, short about 11 and short about 78 for the year. So, so the point what I'm making there is that net bottom line on your water and sewer, you're well above break even, well above budget on where you expect it to be. Despite the fact that you're running over on the expense, the revenue is running over so much more that it continues to be something that's dropping to the bottom line in a positive manner. In terms of the system maintenance, it's worth noting, I went ahead and coded all of the winter freeze damage, pretty much all of it to the district repairs and maintenance line. That's at 23,000, which is why it's over so much for the month and thus for the year. I'll get with the auditor, see if there's a better way to track that. But those were unanticipated expenses, and so putting them here in one place where they're easy to note, and then the revenue in one place, easy to note, as I believe how the auditor would prefer to see it. So I'm just trying to track.
So the repair and maintenance included all the winter storm damage that we accrued?
Right, and that is, I'm not saying that this number is all of it, but that's the vast bulk of it at this point.
It seems too low to me. It seems like we had more than that, but okay. That not all of it is accounted for or invoiced yet? Is that what?
It's possible there's some invoices that we haven't seen yet. And Mackenzie, do you know of anything that we haven't seen on that?
Not as of current. I think so far all of our immediate expenses that we've already paid for are in, but that doesn't include any repairs or anything to the building, which are going to come out of the check received from insurance.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, and then we continue to be, last year we were, what was that? Someone speaking? Okay, hi. On the park expenses, last year for the year, we were over budget pretty much the whole year. And I worked through the budget and tried to rationalize it a bit more. And so this year so far, we're doing very well against budget. But, we're only now hitting the summer months, and it wouldn't be a surprise to see those expenses spike up. But we're in a good position on them. On almost every park, we're under budget, except Hatch Pond Park, which we didn't have budgeted at all. But we're tracking the expenses on that, and we'll put in a rational budget this year. And so, that's a big change from last year where we were over budget on all the parks. And in this case right now, we're under budget on all the parks. And then no activity in April on any of the capital projects and the park improvements. So that puts us at a net surplus about $25,000 for the month, $373,000 for the year, which obviously puts us in a strong place moving into the summer. There's really not much to say about debt service and capital projects fund, so we'll move on. Here's the maintenance track happening in the month, maintenance cap tracking, excuse me. In April, a little over $1,300 in cap expenses, most of them related to the parks. At this point, if the fiscal year had ended in April, Inframark would owe you back a little over $39,000 because you're paying almost $6,500 a month, and we're running less than that. Presumably, the expectation is that we'll get a lot closer to this budget by the end of the fiscal year, but we track it, and if we need to pay you at the end of the year, we will. On the cash, worth noting, you can see the tax pools rate is now down to 0.0135. So pretty starting to think that we're right at the very bottom. No signs yet, though, that the rates are going to start creeping back up. This it comes down to consumer confidence, what the Fed does, all things that are out of our control. But obviously we're tracking that. When we do find a bank that will be interested in giving us a good rate on a CD, we'll pursue it. But there's nobody that really wants to invest money out at this point because they obviously don't believe they can loan it out or take our money, sorry, not invest money, take our money and pay us interest on it. They're not particularly interested in paying us a high rate because they can only recoup that by lending it back out to somebody at a much higher rate, and they're not seeing those opportunities jumping at them. So they're holding on to, they're happy to not take our money, or if they take it, to offer next to nothing on it. Overall, you've got over 3.7 million, 3.2 of that in the operating fund. Almost $500,000 in the debt service fund, which means that even if you didn't take any more tax collections in the rest of this year, the bond payment that's due September 1st, you'd still have $121,000 left after paying that. So that's good shape. As every month, this chart is pretty much the same. You draw down to the blue line draws down to the black line through the course of the fiscal year. And then as the tax collections come in, it jumps back up, and then we start drawing down again. So we have no reason to believe that this fiscal year isn't going to play out pretty much exactly like last fiscal year. And then here's the operating fund balance for April. Projection when we were doing the budget is that you would end the fiscal year with a reserve balance of a little over 2 million. Right now, we're projecting that you'll end at over 2.3 million. And then, of course, we've got the check register, and the blacked out items are the refunds to your residents, and we black them out so that it's a privacy issue. The overall check amount, and we'll come back to this, is $381,437.83, and that's the total of all of the checks that are for approval this meeting, plus the manager's checks that were written between the meetings, and then also the auto drafts and ACHs for utility payments and the like. And then moving on, we have our regular monthly transfer. This is the tax transfer.
Hold on, Michael.
Yep.
Do we have to motion for approval of the check register?
Well, I was going to suggest that we grabbed in the transfers as well. So that was why I kind of jumped into them.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But, we can do them all separately if you want instead.
No, it's all right. Go ahead.
So the tax transfers here, the big amount moving into the operating account and the smaller amount moving into debt service out of the tax account. Then we're moving money from tax pool into the operating account to cover the checks that you're writing this meeting. And that is the stuff for approval. And then there's a few more reports. Did you want me to run through those, or do we want to run through the checks and any questions on those, et cetera? I'm ready to do it either way. I can finish out the report and come back to this,
I have a
or
question on your report.
okay. Do we want to address that now? Let's go.
Go all the way back up to where the parks are.
Okay.
I can't see the page number.
The P&L.
Yeah, keep going higher.
Yep. I think I know what you want, well, or at least where you want. I'm not sure I know what you want.
Yeah.
Okay, so which park were you looking for?
This very first one where it says Hatch Pond Park, underneath it, it says Total Astor Park.
Good catch. I did not notice that. When I added that to the report, I was copying and pasting from somewhere else, presumably Astor Park, and then didn't update it and have not noticed it until this moment. So good eye. I will highlight that here and correct that going forward.
And I have not looked at your report in advance. I apologize. I did look at the bills and invoices though. So if you want to move to that, I'm ready for that too.
Okay. Yeah, hang on. Let me find that piece and let me make my notation here. Where's Hatch Pond?
Do we have an Astor Park on that page?
It's actually right before this, right before the page break, I believe. So down at the bottom of the page. There we go.
There it
Yeah.
is.
And so, yeah, it was right before it. I copied from it and then didn't make the correction on the total part. So I will make a notation. I just made a notation about that. So, all right. Good eye. Thank you for catching my error. All right. So I guess we want to go ahead and review. You had questions on the bills and invoices.
I do, but I'll let Megan go first since she's actually on the committee and I am no longer on the committee.
I have a statement from Catherine that Catherine wanted me to read since she can't be here tonight. So I'll read that first. She says, this past week, I made a change to the billing and invoice subcommittee. I replaced Linda on this committee with myself. Discussions with Infomark have confirmed a change was needed as we were failing in one of our primary duties, which is to pay bills on time. Over the weekend, both Megan and I reviewed the invoices and checks. Both of us sent questions back to Michael Luff, noting areas for improvement.
I don't think so. I'm looking.
This month's check register contains a number of credit memos from previous months. I've asked Michael to review check 5251 with the board as this was a complicated adjustment across many months. I've reviewed the Sage invoice. And then she goes on to say that it's the recommendation of the Billing and Invoices Committee to approve the check register. So I don't know if Michael, I don't know. I don't know if I know Catherine did ask you to go over the those credits. So would
Yeah,
it
let me
be
get to that.
for you to walk through those a bit?
Yep, hang on, let me get there. Yeah, I think it's right down, no, next page. All right, so check 5251. The original amount, you can see that's invoice number 1131820 for December services, got presented a few months back. And let me get that full total. It's the total of all these. I'll run that in a second here for you. And then as you can see, there's a series of 4 credit memos. There's credit memo 180, credit memo 181, credit memo 182, credit memo, or sorry, 1183, and then credit memo 1150 that got added in at the end. And so these were the credit memos that working with Mackenzie that we determined were what needed to be done. And so we think we've applied them all, but that was definitely something that we wanted to make sure that everybody was clear and agreed that in fact this cleared up all of the issues on that. And I'm running a couple of totals here. All right.
What was the purpose of these credits?
Well, these were items primarily identified by Linda, where that Infomark had charged for things that they should not by the contract. And so we ran.
Okay, good.
And so that's what this exercise was identifying all of those items and then issuing credit memos for each one of them. And so the reason there's so many here is that each work order that each invoice has multiple work orders on it. Each work order that had to be corrected got a separate credit memo for it. And then for some reason, when it's presented here, it's breaking them up into thirds, and that isn't really how they were coded. So that's deceptive, but it's all coded correctly on the back end. So that was one of the things that, that's what's confusing here. It looks like there's a lot more credits than there are. So this first one here, credit memo 1183, is for 8434. That one's clean. There's just one. These next 3, 1180, that's a total of $130.80. 1182 is a total of $174.40, and 1181 is a total of $283.09, and then 1150 is $87.30. And so just make sure I've got everything. And that's right. The original invoice total was $6,009.45. And so then you can see that the amount that got deducted brings that down to $5,249.52. Just verifying the math here. Oh, missed one. $52.49.52. Yes, that ties out. Okay.
Michael,
Yes.
did you come up with your red numbers totaling 701.80?
Yeah, let me double that. 759.93. So we actually ended up over the amount that was originally discussed at one point.
You did. You absolutely did. And nobody's complaining if you want to give us back more, but here's a problem I have with that batch for check 5251. The credit memos, they start on page 150 and they go through 153. And they only total $672.63.
Right, there,
So the
there were
documents don't
late
match this.
pull that up, because I did verify that these tied out to what I had at one time.
This invoice has been through three months.
Right, that's been that is the issue. I tied it out at one point and then things continued to, I guess, move. But I want to make sure I had more than I thought we needed. And I was willing to just leave it at that point. Hang on, I'm pulling this stuff up. Well, if it will let me.
Well, Michael, if you're confident in your numbers, just make sure that in the stack of bills that there are credit memos totaling.
Oh, and one of the issues is that there was a late arriving credit memo, and we did not actually have the final version of that. So I don't believe I included that in what I sent to you.
That could be what's missing.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's missing, but let me quickly look and see what I've got here. I just want to make sure my memory matches my reports, which I'd like to believe always is true, but right, I have the original 4 credit memos, but not the 5th one here.
Okay, so you're going to add a 5th?
Yes. So we were waiting on the final copy of that. So let me circle that and then make a note about it to make sure that we get that added in. All right, so that's it's all on check 5251, and it's invoice number 1131820, and then the 5th credit memo. Yep. Memo copy. Got it. Okay.
Ready?
All right.
Michael,
Yes.
are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Check 5232 to Sage Management for additional services. It's missing the additional service report. There's an additional service on that invoice.
And I actually think
Catherine
sent
sent
me
that.
an email about that. Hang on, and I may not have attached it. The additional services approval. Hang on, I'm opening that. Well, if it will open, there we go. Right. I got sent an email showing that work was approved, and I didn't include that as backup. Is that
What was the work? What was the work?
At the data request 042721, additional tour to respond to elder care facility conversion. Reason for requesting the work, needed to confirm situation to provide instructions to legal counsel. And then the estimated cost was $40.
A tour charge.
Yes.
That was an emergency? Did Bill send him on that task?
All I know is the committee did.
The committee did.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's move on.
Okay.
Um,
Next one.
Check 5236 on page 80 to the City of Cedar Park. The check amount is $124.38, but the total due is only $67.58.
5236. The City of Cedar Park.
It's page 80.
Right, so this is the small one. Hang on, let me pop that open. Right, there are 2 invoices from them every month. One is the big one for the water and sewer bulk water and wastewater purchase. And then the other one is a small one for usage. And you're correct. That amount is 67.58. The 124.38 is the volumetric charge.
Can you correct out of the manager's account?
Yes.
So you can get it paid, but just pay them only 67.58.
Yep. Yeah. What's interesting is that the 124.38 is the correct amount for the month, but they applied a credit balance, which we didn't apply. And that's how we got the variance. So we can go ahead and avoid this check and then issue manager's check replacement for the correct amount. So let me make those notes, Sam. There we go.
Ready?
Hang on. 67.58. And then make my note on the front page. 236 void replace 67.58. Got it. Okay.
Can you just tell me, there's nothing wrong with this check, but it's check 5241. What is a time clock replacement?
That I think is a good question for Mackenzie. I've got the invoice here, but
$394 for a time clock replacement. Mackenzie, what is that?
I am not entirely sure if that was coded correctly. I'm not sure time clock is the right answer. I'll have to look at that one. I want to say that this might be the register for the cards when we bill.
yeah, I'm opening it right now. Hang on.
It's
you
on
know
page
what?
104.
I'm sorry. Is this the one for MNC?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's where they added in the light timers. We had that work was approved by the board. Sorry. I was totally thrown off by what they called it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not-
So it's a light timer.
For the parks?
Anderson
Yes,
Mill
so-
West Park.
So we had them come out and investigate what was going on with the timer. And basically they had to make a repair to it. This is something that was addressed quite a while ago by the board, and it took them a while to find parts for the timer.
Is it the
Megan
Anderson
probably
Mill
recalls.
West Park?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The next one is check number 5247, page 124 through 133 of the invoices, to Richard Rodriguez and Skeeth.
Right.
Their last invoice, 84512, you're paying the entire amount.
Right.
That should
And
be
that's
divided
a change. That's not wrong, actually. That is a
it's changed.
change. Yeah, that's a change from the way it was working before. I believe it's that the letter from legal explaining that was included with the invoice, but if not, I'll make sure that it is. Before that point, they were issuing one invoice and then sending half of it, saying half to be paid by the district and half to be paid by the AMWNA. But starting with this month, they only tracked the amount that the district was liable to pay and invoice that separately to the district. And the AMWNA portion, they're tracking, invoicing, and sending to them separately. So
That starts this month?
yes, with that March invoice 84512. So yes, that is a change, and you're absolutely right to look at it. But it was outlined in the cover letter that was in fact specifically true.
Okay, that wasn't in the batch of invoices. If you would please send me that letter.
Okay, let me make that note as well. Up letter. Got it.
Okay.
Next.
Check 5253. Page 181 to 183 of the invoices. It's a fees of office. It should be 14 and not 15. Duplicate dates.
Let me see if I can pull that up, because I walked through those.
Page 181 to 183 of the bills.
All right.
Are you seeing it on page 183?
Yes.
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Yeah, I see exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
Well, actually, maybe I don't. Hang on. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now that's 7. All right, so I'm not missing one yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 2 dates. 310.
And 331 are both duplicates, but this was the oddity. It's only, there's 9 boxes there,
Yep.
only charged for 8, but
Yep.
2 duplicates. So
2 310s and 2 331s, but didn't count 9, only counted 8. So yeah, you're right. It's off by 1.
Yeah.
So
can you correct that with a manager's check as well?
yes.
So nobody has to be delayed any payments, but we're going to
Right.
pay them correctly.
Absolutely. Let me get to that check number again. There we go. Okay, so make that note. Should be 14. And make that note here. 2, 5, 3. Void. 14 fees of office. Got it.
Thank you. And I do want to look at Infomark invoices, and mostly I just have a few questions.
Okay.
So tell me when you're ready.
I am ready now.
I don't have page numbers for these, unfortunately, but the
All right.
Infomark invoice is 1132984.
Mm-hmm.
There was additional email addresses purchased for the G Suite. So my question is, how many licenses do we currently exist and how many were purchased?
There were 2 additional purchased whenever the board members came on from the election, because we couldn't get rid of the old emails as there were time needed for the investigations to happen and everything in between. We didn't have any additional licenses to provide at that time. So 2 were purchased, and I think we're up to 12 total licenses.
So you had 10.
Yes.
Oh, so you had way more than you had board members.
You have the parks emails, you have mine, you have Lee's. There are several others that in the other emails of the district that you guys have specific to WTC.
Okay. What upgrades to the G Suite and Google Vault was done in November of 2020? Since this product hasn't been used for quite some time and still isn't, why are we upgrading it?
I'd have to look and see. It's likely that it's just something that they required on their end of an upgrade being made, that they basically branch out to everybody, similar to the thing I'm bringing to the board tonight to discuss, but I don't recall it off the top of my head.
As I recall, the license for that product renewed in July for $2,500. So if in November they're already asking for upgrade money and we're not even using the product, then we really need to take a good look at that.
You are using the product, Linda, every time you send an email from your email.
Oh, you're talking Gmail. We can use that for free though. This is the G Suite and the Google Vault.
Correct. It's all one package.
All right. Let's go on to work order 2505807. These are admin duties. We talked about this before, about getting that phone bill passed over to Michael to pay so that we don't have to pay a 15% overhead charge for Mackenzie to pay it with a credit card. I noticed there was another one like that in the billing too, where these are accounting functions. And I imagine McKinsey's using the credit card to pay them instead. And really, McKinsey, if we can save that 15% overhead on paying bills and somehow or another get Michael to make those payments, I would appreciate that.
It was discussed when this was first brought up that Lee actually brought this up. She pays it monthly. They don't accept anything other than credit card payments. They don't
And
accept checks.
Michael can't make credit
If
card.
Michael, if
I don't have a
Michael
P
does-
card, and
Yeah.
and if I did, it would be the same thing. It would go through Infomark. So that would just, change who made the payment. If you're suggesting to get a district credit card, all I want to say is I would advise against that.
No, I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm just trying to avoid paying overhead of 15% to pay
Right.
district's bill.
I'm with you. I mean, this, if there was a way to pay this other than, by credit card, that's all they take. If there was a way to do it, absolutely, that's exactly what we should be doing, is cutting this as a check, just as we do with almost everything else. So
There is another work order right below it, and it's a Zoom account, and it too, it's a very inexpensive monthly charge, but when you add a 15% overhead month after month after month, that's wasted money. Okay, let's move on because we can't fix that, so we just need to move on with that. Work order 2494004, $5,117.01, maintenance in a park. I think this is storm damage. As a matter of fact, I saw your note. This is storm damage related and covered by insurance. I think what I kind of stuck on this particular invoice is there was no Infomark tech involved in this. This was Roto-Rooter coming out to fix pipe damage from the storm.
That's actually not entirely correct. Just because the base tech is the one that meets them when they do come out to make repairs, you won't see that on a work order. You take it off in advance.
Yeah, but that's covered under the base fee if he meets somebody out there to let him in. So that's not an issue that he's not there. But what I noticed is, again, this one has that 15% overhead for calling a plumber. Just doesn't seem reasonable to me. I'm just putting it out here. I'm not suggesting that this is the place to make that change, but these are things that absolutely need to be looked at in the next budget cycle. The next work order 2410833. It's a problem with one of the residents on Sweet Gum Trace. My question here is, this service was completed on December 10th of 2020. Why is it being billed 5 months later?
Mackenzie, you have a quick answer for that, or?
I don't. I'd have to pull up the work order and look at it myself. Give me a moment and I can do that.
Yeah, and the quick answer is that it takes a while sometimes to make sure on the back end that we've got everything that's in a work order, in and complete. So, and then that's when they bill it out.
This was a pretty large one for the work that was done. So I'm almost certain that that's likely what happened here, is it took forever for them to get all of the time in for each individual employee. So it was likely just sitting for a while before it was ever marked complete in the work order system.
Well, actually, it says it was completed on 12/10, but you know what else I noticed with the field comments read, when digging, busted electrical line going to the house, call Robert Phil to fix it. So my question is if your crew busted an electrical line, why does the district have to pay for that repair?
They don't. We would have just done the repair. Their time for that is not included on the work order.
I think we need to check that again, and I will, but I think it was. But I don't have that one up, and I don't have it page marked, so I can't get it quickly. But
I'm looking at it right now, and it nothing on here states that they repaired the electrical line in the work order at all. And all the work on this work order was done on the same day, except for the first line, which was when it was initiated on 12/3.
Okay, I'll look at it. Thank you. The next one, work order 246367. That was on cottonweed. And I remember we had a do not exceed of 4,000. Now I didn't have a chance to verify that, but I thought we had a $4,000 cap on fixing that lady's property, taking down her tree, moving the stack, that kind of thing.
You may have, you're probably referring to the not to exceed for the repair of the stack, but the tree amount was separately approved. They were brought to the board on two separate occasions, almost 2 months apart. So I know that for a fact. That's likely what you're referring to. I think that the not to exceed of 4,000 is our portion of getting that stack repaired. And we're still waiting on the arborist or whoever Sunscapes had hired to get that stump out of the ground, because that's the last bit before we can make that repair. But those were both brought to the board on separate occasions.
I will hunt those down. And I will ask on this one, you have Home Depot receipts for supplies necessary to perform the service, and that's covered in your base fee. Lubricant was one of the things, pipe fittings of some sort was another. Those are supplies necessary to perform the service. I don't think you're supposed to be charging.
I actually disagree, Linda. I think I've actually shown you the part of the contract that states we can charge for supplies. And that's not something that any tech is going to already have on their truck to perform that job. So that'd be like saying our tech going and buying Windex. He should already have Windex. That's not part of his job to keep Windex on his truck for things.
Yeah, this wasn't Windex. This was lubricant for a pipe. And I thought I jotted it down 2.96 or 2.69 in your contract. I will double check it, Mackenzie, because I think we're having a misunderstanding about what supplies are. But we'll go on to the next one. 2469430. The invoice date was 2/11/21. And the repair date was 2/23/21. Both are weekdays. So my question with this one is, and maybe this one, maybe I did double check this one. Is this where the techs worked 9 hours on this repair? Because there was overtime on this. Was it?
Give me the work order number again.
2469430.
Yeah. There were two of them where they worked some really long hours on one problem.
So on the 11th, there was about almost 4 hours worked between two techs. And then on the 23rd, there was 8.5 and 9.5 hours worked.
Okay, that was, okay, more than 8 in a day. Okay, I thought I saw that on one of them for sure. Okay. Work order 2471015. The issue date of that work order was February 15th. But the first charge on that work order is February 12th, before the work order was even issued.
Correct. Sometimes what happens is if you get a call from dispatch, our guys will go out. A work order is not created yet, but they've likely had to go out and do that work. So then the work order is created in the system after the fact.
I thought they operated with work orders. That's how they knew where to go.
They do. They get that information from dispatch, and they have blank work orders that they keep their information on and send into paperwork, who then goes in and creates the work order in the system.
And Mackenzie, for my own knowledge, is our new mobility rollout adjusting any of that at all?
Yes, it is. But for the sake of Linda's question here, that's
Right,
exactly
yeah,
what
but
would have
that
happened. But
hadn't happened yet, right?
mobility is different. So, and that's something very brand new. They've only been in it for about 2 weeks. So that process has changed.
Okay, well, that's all my questions on that particular purchase order. Go on to purchase order 1132985. And I have a question about, well, two questions actually. There's work orders in this purchase order for cleaning the parks on the weekends, after hours, apparently after a rental, although I couldn't see it on the system because I can't go backwards and see rentals for March. But my question is, we paid $703.27 overtime charges to Infomark to come empty the trash cans and clean the park pavilions on weekends after a rental. So my question is, does the reservation fee cover the cleaning of those parks, the pavilions, after they're done using them? Because I thought the park rules said you have to leave it as you found it. And if that is true,
Quickly to stick something in here, it was just the invoice that you're talking about is the CAP invoice for the month, Mackenzie. So it's not one that the district is paying directly, but it's part of the. That was CAP work, and
we
so
still pay for it. We still.
Oh,
pay
I know
for it.
you do. I know. I just wanted to, that it's not sitting here on the check register.
Oh, no.
So-
It's part of an Infomark invoice.
Right.
And my only reason for asking this question is because we really need to look at this. If we're going to lease the space to our residents and then pay Infomark to come behind them and empty the trash cans, then we really need to see if this is cost effective.
So the rule of
Something
thumb
to
is
consider.
your deposit is typically to cover should they not clean up after themselves, but that's still them cleaning up after themselves will leave things out. You'll typically have more people in the park, things like that. And the trash can still get full before the weekend comes by. But you have I believe it's 26 total. The first 26 of any year go directly to the cap. So that's already factored into the amount you pay monthly for the cap.
And really, that's not the point, because it doesn't matter how the money is paid. The point of that I'm trying to make is that if people are renting the parks for, and I'm going to make up a number because I don't know the rates, but if it's $40 to rent it for 4 hours, and we have to pay Infomark $100 or $200 to come behind them and empty trash, is that really a wise investment?
Yeah, and to put some numbers on this, in April, the reservation revenue was $460.
Okay, and we paid $703 for someone to come behind and clean up behind these people. It just needs to be.
That is definitely a
looked at.
legitimate question. Is this being right priced?
Right price. There you go. Accounting.
And just to keep in mind, when they do come out and clean, they're not only cleaning up after whoever was there for the rental, they're cleaning up for anybody that was in the park that day.
Well, I do understand that, but that's we wouldn't, if someone's not renting the parks, we don't send an Infomark tech out there on weekends to clean them. I've not seen invoices like that. So what I managed to match up was somebody rented the park, and then a work order was created for a tech to go out there after that activity and clean up the pavilion. The work orders actually say the pavilion, not the park. My point is it right priced is the best way to describe it. Let's just move on, because we can't change that, but we absolutely need to discuss that as a board. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Work order 250-5866 to Academy Sports for tetherballs. It includes tax. I don't know if we have to pay tax to Academy when we don't pay tax. Michael.
What should be happening is that since it's being bought for reuse for the district, our techs should be supplying the sales tax exemption form at that point. And so it should not be charged tax.
This wasn't purchased by a tech though. This was purchased probably online via Lee.
And that becomes more, that's exactly an issue where we can't supply the tax.
Not this one. This one actually went to the store because we paid for the use of his truck to go to Academy to buy it.
He likely went and picked it up, but Lee did place the online order.
Well, let's not do that so that we don't have to pay tax. Because he had to drive there anyways, so he could have picked him up at the store. So I have a question for you, Michael. How is your new accounting office storing the bills and invoices? Is it paper or is it electronic storage?
It's electronic storage. I actually have all the paper as well, but the plan is.
You are electronically storing these documents. So does the record include all the receipts that support an invoice?
Yes, and that's also part of the strategy. That was one of the feedback I had to give this month, was to make sure that I was being supplied all of that. Typically I was, but this month I wasn't originally, so I had to ask for it.
Okay,
And the understanding has been transmitted that, yeah, all that backup has to be there. And
excellent.
then when I have it, then I will make sure that I include all of it when I'm sending it to you.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you. You did, this month I found most of them. So obviously, you know, you caught up with me. So that's good.
Yeah, but I caught up after the fact. I
It's
sent that
okay.
stuff later.
And I just looked at it today and answered 3 questions just by looking at one more email. So that was good. I asked you for a report on May 12th for all the park and pond design, construction, and maintenance expenses, and I haven't got that from you yet.
Yeah, and I have not had a chance, but I will get back to that. I'll try to get that to you by tomorrow.
Okay.
I should be able to.
You know, by the end of
Let
this
me
week,
make it.
definitely soon enough. Okay, don't drop everything. I know everybody's paying bills right now. But I am going to ask for several other reports because I'm getting ready for the budget cycle. So I'm going to say them out loud right now, but I am going to send them to you in writing with
Good.
just some detail, very brief details of what I want you to capture in these reports. Okay.
Yep.
I want the payment register by bank account. It's also called the check register, and
Right.
everything I'm asking for, I want it from October 2017 through May 2021. I'm going to use that window for budgeting purposes. So everything I ask for is going to be that window of time. Okay.
Okay. And you said that from October 27th?
2017, October
Oh,
1st.
yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I was like, that seems an odd date to choose.
And-
But yeah, so, right, I got you.
And I will send this to you, so don't try to jot it all down. I want a report of all the lift station charges in that same window of time. And I want that sorted by lift station. And I want a report of all charges for utility trucks, maintenance trucks, backhoes, backhoe trailer, and any other vehicle that we pay for. And I want a report of all the district credit card charges. And that's gonna be my start into the budget cycle. I'm gonna start with those and start making some spreadsheets.
Yep.
And I have a question. What is DSH?
Not sure, based without, I need some context. DSH?
It was a bill for $48.50 and 90 cents. It was paid before, but not in full. So this month.
Oh, DHSH Central Lab. That is
Central Lab.
that's a water testing?
Gotcha. Central Lab. Thank you. I
Yep.
didn't recognize the letters.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't when you said them either, so.
Okay. The money, you caught the money though right away, right? Okay, now we know what the time clock is. And the only ones I have left are Gray Engineering. But I'll let Herb do his report because he may answer my questions and then I don't have to ask.
All righty. Anyone else? Anything else?
Yeah, Linda, I think we're taking Michael up front so Michael can leave the meeting.
Oh,
So you might want to go ahead and address these here so we can wrap up Michael's part.
because he's gonna do a final check total.
But yeah, that we're doing Michael up front so he can leave the meeting. If he has to stay for Herb, that's good.
Right. And then he's going to want to end his presentation with the total amount to approve. So yes, you're right. Let me do Herb's real quick. An engineering invoice. Herb, are you listening out there? Is he still there? I can't see because Michael's report.
I am. I'm here.
You're here. Okay. It's your invoice 58472. You're charging to a park project. You've got the project numbered 11204. It's for, you called Ferris Design for some files. Who put you on that task?
I'd been requested by Infomark via the Parks Committee who had made the request.
Okay.
And I'd actually reached out 3 different times. And so I just finally ended up having to bill for one of them.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I tried to call them too, and they never returned my call. The reason that this jumped out at me is because the board did not approve a park project. They agreed, the committee agreed, it was in the February 17th meeting, that any services that they needed, the park committee needed, they could cover under that additional service contract, and
Mhm.
that all your billing for parks would be done under the additional service contract. So you don't have a park project to bill to. That would be under your administrative billing, and it would be an additional service, and it would be followed by the committee that requested those services of you would fill out one of those reports. And this one doesn't have a report, and it's not a project. I'm not suggesting that you don't get paid for that phone call. You absolutely should, but you can't create a park project that the board did not approve. And you did present one, and we didn't approve it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
When y'all make changes like that in a board meeting after I'm gone, I really need to get that information conveyed to me.
Oh, no, Herb, you were in the meeting. It was February 17th. It was part of your presentation when you did all the projects.
Right?
You presented a whole bunch of projects. We approved many of them. This
Right.
one, the Parks Committee agreed they didn't need a whole project under your time because it would be a rare occasion they needed your services greater than $1,000. And if they did, they would come back for full board approval. So you would still charge for doing things for the parks, but it would be under your administrative as an additional service requested by the Parks Committee. And then the Parks Committee will submit the form report of why they used your additional services. That's how this is supposed to work. Okay.
Sounds good.
That's just how that one works. There was another one, hold on, that I got. I'm trying to track costs. Let me ask you about this. Oh, no, that's not a problem with your invoice. Hold on. Oh, the wastewater mainline and service maintenance in your billing this month is mixed in. You've mixed in the wastewater line repairs. The London Lane and Rathlin project costs are being mixed in with the mainline and service maintenance costs under one project number. They have separate projects. We're tracking them separately.
That is actually the proposal covered both. If you would like two separate job numbers, I can create a second job number.
Tell me this. If I've misunderstood how these two are working, because their names are so similar, but London Lane and Rathlin, that went out for bid, and it came back at 23,000, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the wastewater mainline and service maintenance, that's also going out for bid.
That did not go out for bid.
That one didn't go out for bid.
But is it going out for bid?
No, that work's almost complete.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Here's what I want. I don't want you to mix up the London Lane and Rathlin work with anything else, because I'm tracking that one against the bid.
Okay.
Okay. So here's then the wastewater mainline and service. I never did get a list of the locations or even how much money was going to be spent to do this. It's almost done, Art, you say? How much money have you guys spent so far on this?
How much have we spent on that, Herb?
We have not processed any invoices on this as of yet, and that's not going to happen until probably next month.
Okay, but most of the work is complete?
They have gotten the services work behind the curbs done, and when the weather clears, they're going to be working out in the street. There's 3 locations in the street, but with the weather, it's just not sense to get out there in the street.
Okay, I understand. It's raining over here, so okay. If you'll just keep those costs separated so that especially bidded projects that have gone out to bid, they really should stand alone so we can track them as capital improvement projects. And I do have a question, and this just jumped out at me this evening, but I spotted a charge for 2 hours of your time to review and forward one invoice from January of 2021. It's from Fazone Builders. It's that sign that was placed in the Hatch athletic field, that Saccone, I think, for that gentleman that used to coach there.
Yes.
Okay, that guy. And I believe this invoice is the installation of that sign. The invoice amount is $875. Okay. You billed us 2 hours of your time, $404 to review and forward that invoice, which has maybe 10 printed lines on it. It's nothing complicated. The installation was $875, and you're looking at the invoice and forwarding it to the committee cost us $404. That just seems unreasonable.
Well, I'm sorry.
Tell me this, is it, I know, is it, and my husband tells me this all the time, there's some bits of work we won't touch under a flat amount. It's just not worth the time.
I do not have that philosophy at my
Okay.
company. You'll see quarter hours, half hours, whatever it is. This particular one, I had to go back through emails to find those proposals, go back through the infrastructure packets to find those authorizations through the board, and follow through with Infomark, because Infomark was actually getting the invoices for payment. One of the invoices had been paid, the other one hadn't. And
Right.
I'm not processing bills, so I have no clue. So I took
Right.
a little time to figure out what was what and when did things happen.
So there's going to be another invoice for this sign beyond this $875 installation?
The previous invoice had been paid months ago, but that was part of the confusion here. It had the exact same invoice number, so we were wondering, we thought it was a duplicate. Herb had to point out that no, this was additional work, and we had to get with the vendor and make sure that we weren't being billed for something that they had already billed us for. And Herb laid that out and showed that there were two separate pieces of this, and that this had been noted on the original invoice but not billed, and now they were billing for it. So it was something that took a lot of time and a lot of communication among a lot of people, unfortunately.
To figure it out, I get that. So this $875 was the installation cost for the sign, and there's another invoice for the actual cost of the sign?
No, ma'am.
Yes.
There were two different locations and two different signs. The one location was able to be done all in one trip. I don't remember exactly what that was. Mackenzie can help out on that one. The hatch sign got delayed because they had to make the board for that. It was a individually made sign board. So they got the one done, sent the invoice in to get paid for it. And then once later, about a month later, they got the other sign in and installed, and then sent their second invoice into Infomark. And then that's where the confusion started.
And the confusion mainly stemmed from the fact that it was the same invoice number. And then if you looked at the invoice, though, they zeroed out the cost for the second portion and then resent that invoice and zeroed out the first portion. So that's where it was oddly done on the invoicing side. But I want to say the first charge for the other sign was $490-ish.
That's exactly correct. I'm looking at it right now.
And
So-
then this one is the hatch one. So
All right. See, I knew somebody would be able to explain that to me, because you got to know, when I looked at that, wow, that's a lot of money to move a piece of paper. But see, you can't tell in your notes that there was research involved to figure it out.
Right.
So, okay, that's all I have for the money matters.
Okay.
I'm looking, yeah, I think that's it. Oh, yeah, that's not a money matter. That's just a question. Go ahead. I'm done, Michael. If you got your calculator, you should have a
Yes,
total.
I do. Okay, so the total that we were working from is the 381, 437.83. We're going to void two checks. Check 5236 to the city of Cedar Park. We'll reissue that out of the manager's account. Between meetings here, it'll show up on your next cash flow. And that amount was 124.38. So we're going to subtract that out. And we're also going to void the check 5253 to Beth in the amount of $2,077.87, and then reissue that for 14 fees of office, not 15. So the net of that is 379, 292.40.
Linda or Megan, do you want to make a motion to approve this?
I'll let Megan, since she's on the committee.
Motion to approve the check register in the amount of $379,292.40.
And then throw in the transfers.
And let's see, and the transfers as presented.
Yes.
Since Linda's none of the board, I'll make a second. Any other discussion? Okay, take a vote. Megan,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
Okay, and I vote yes too. Who'd I miss? Oh,
No one?
Catherine's not here.
Catherine's not here, that's right. Okay, all right. Motion stands.
All right, well, let me, I guess, finish up my report then. Just a few more pages here. You can see the open records request bounced up a bit to over 10,000 in April. We're still under budget for the year on that. And then we've got the do not exceeds, no activity on the detention ponds. On the parks beautification, the only addition was the 875 for the sign that we were just discussing from the zone. And that is
Payment
all
to
that I have.
Verdunity. That's new.
Oh, yes, and you're right. I did have to add in the Verdunity one. And that's on here. There it is. The 4,000 to Verdunity, yes, for the park master plan. Sorry.
Okay. Is that it, Michael?
Yep, that's all I have. Any other questions about the financials?
No one? All right. So now we're going to jump back to Herb on item number 2 to Herb and Mackenzie. So take it away, Herb.
All righty, well, we'll follow along here on the water accountability. This the first few items here are essentially Infomark. The water accountability this month was 89%. So there's really no action on that. On the wall survey, that has been a carryover on our agenda for the infrastructure. The next survey is actually scheduled for the fiscal year 22-23. So we're going to, unless there's a repair to make, we're going to just pull this as off of our regular agenda for that. There is a proposal within the packet for zone construction, the amount of $9,500, and that is to repair the column and wall over at Yaywall Creek and Hatch Pond. That was reported a few months back. Now, part of that repair is they found that there was an issue with about 60 foot of that foundation, also for the wall, not just the column. So they're going to replace, this price includes replacing 60 feet of footing, as well as the rebuilding that wall section and the columns.
What was the price?
$9,500.
That's to for zone, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The infrastructure committee, anything else on that one?
Yeah, the only other thing really is just that there's some growth on the resident side up against that wall, and Infomark will be working with the residents to get that cut back out of the way. There's the district has a 5-foot maintenance easement on each side, on that side of the wall. So we'll get that taken care of and out of the way. And that's it.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to pay the amount of $9,500 to Fazone Construction on this proposal. I need a second.
They haven't done the work.
No, it's just the proposal. It's the
It's the proposal.
Oh.
Oh, to approve the proposal. I'm sorry, bad wording. I make the motion to approve the proposal for $9,500 to Fazone Construction for the wall.
Yes. I will second that, Art.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Megan,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
Okay, and I say yes too. Okay, Herb, continue.
All right, and then the next item we discussed in that meeting was the budget items for 2021. Looking at that, we also brought in, we were looking at the sidewalk cost, and I had provided, I believe, everybody a copy of the cost from 2020, 21. Unfortunately, I'm not an accountant, and I realized during that meeting, I'd gone back all the way to January instead of just October. For the fiscal year starting October 1, 20, and then going into up to today's time. So that number and spreadsheet that I sent out was incorrect. I have not had an opportunity to sit down with our bookkeeper and get that number corrected. So we're not going to take any actions based on, because of that, we're not going to take any actions on these others sidewalk discussions later on. We're just going to kind of hold off on that until I get that number corrected this month. Other than that, there were no other real projects discussed or brought up that would be coming off of and out of the budget at this time. The next on them, I'm going to just follow along here with the posted agenda. As far as the next was the WTCMUD1 AWIA risk assessment. That document, the first document, has been filed with the EPA, so that's done. Met the deadline on that. The next deadline for the emergency plan is in that is in the first part of November. So we will have that put together, and now, we're going to work at as it comes back up in time. We've got plenty of time. I figure we'll probably have it done by September. I'm just throwing that out there for my schedule, nothing else, just to make sure we don't just let things sit around too long. The next two items on this agenda are the sidewalk improvements, which is the Madeline Loop, as well as the releveling maintenance projects. I did get proposals for the releveling sections that were brought up and replacement sections that we discussed last month, but because I have not gotten that what's actually been spent to include engineering, we're just going to have to table all that till next month to look at that number and see where it's actually at. On the wastewater main line and service repairs, the first section is, I've got it broken out, and Linda, next month I'll separate this out better. But the London Lane and Rathland Lane, again, that was scheduled to be started this past Monday of this week. With all the weather forecast, again, it was not prudent to get out in the middle of the street and dig right down there. So we're hoping right now, we're going to look at it again Friday and Saturday with the contractor, and hopefully he'll start, hopefully it'll be Monday, but it's just all weather dependent and is driving that right now. So we keep as least inconvenience to everybody that we can. On the wastewater main line and service repairs, there's been 4 locations where the contractor's able to address the service tree roots in the service lines from behind the curb out in the dirt, not have to get into the street. Those lines have been completed. We've got 2 sections. There's 3 cuts, street cuts that have to be done. And again, I anticipate that being started next week once this weather chills down a little bit, get out of that.
Who's doing that work?
Vinco is the name of the company. VINCO.
Thank you.
And so that's where we're at on those 2. On the line jetting, I'm not exactly sure, Mackenzie, if those gentlemen have finished up.
They've been completed. We just haven't received the certification video yet, but they are done.
Okay. That will roll into the next one of the video review. We're obviously not doing anything on those until we receive these final reports. And the final reports for this will also include the mainline repair over on Rathland, as well as the service repairs that are being addressed by Vinco. The sidewalk repair on Old Mill, this is over on 1400 block of Old Mill. Our office has reached out and discussed this issue with Williamson County. Williamson County, the gentleman we talked with, they're going back to some other department other than what he's with the Public Works. So he's going back to another department to see if they will put the handrail in there. As I reported to the infrastructure, once we hear that they'll do it, that's great. I'll just report that and that'll be taken care of. If they report back that they're not going to be able to do that, then we will go ahead and pursue requests and proposals to put that handrail in, and then present that when it comes up.
Did I understand you're trying to see if Williamson County will take care of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'd much prefer them to do it than see us have to get involved.
We really don't have jurisdiction for that, correct?
Correct. It's in the Williamson County right of way. And that's really the whole issue. And that was kind of our stance that they ought to be addressing it.
But even if they don't, you still need their permission to do it?
We need to inform them. That's political. I don't
Okay,
think
and you should.
there shouldn't be any permitting or anything of that nature. It just should be a notification.
Okay.
And then the MS4 permit requirements, that all of those items have been they're up to date as far as what's being required. This is another one of these items that we don't really need to spend time on every single month, but we are going to bring it up on a quarterly basis and track it. I think that's more fluid and time effective for everybody else involved. On the next year, I've got the park issues, and based on the discussions earlier about billing and all of that, it sounds like Megan, one, I have not heard from Verduity yet. I don't know if I will or not, but if I do, I guess we're going to probably need some authorization for me to talk to them. It sounds like some separate authorization.
Not if you can talk to them for less than $1,000, you don't.
You'll need to fill out the form, and I'm happy to fill out the form for your additional work, Herb, if you talk to them.
The committee fills out the form. So yeah, you can talk for up to $1,000 without any additional approval except the committee.
Okay. I currently, for small projects like that, have been using that parks issues job number. Now, as I understood the conversation earlier, you wanted me to close that and bill under my general engineering number.
Yes, because we don't have a parks project in your engineering.
When you have a specific project, we will be opening a separate job number.
Yes.
The park issues has been used in the past for little short conversations, attendance of meetings if necessary. That's what that job's for. So I would, if Verduity called me, that's where I would initially put my time under, is the park issues job number that I billed to this past month. If that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense.
It does make sense. The only problem that I have with it is that when you bill like that, then we don't get the committee form because it's not part of your contract. You don't do parks in your contract. You only work with parks if somebody invites you to participate in the parks, and that's usually the parks committee that would do that. And so when they do, and they said so themselves in that meeting on February 17th, they would use your additional service provision and then write the report of why they involved you in the project for whatever reason it was. But
okay.
And it's truly just overhead for you. It's not like you're not designing any park things. You're not doing that kind of thing. You're just lending advice or support, and that's administrative in nature. Consulting.
And that's what that last two digits on that job number I use, 54, is just miscellaneous consultation. That's what that 54 stands for internally. That's what.
Yeah, I would not know that either, but.
Okay, well, to track what I'm doing for the parks, I would make a suggestion that it's best to use that parks issue number that I have open now that I just billed to. And any conversations that I have with any of the committees, as far as that goes, on any of these items, I will also make sure and remind, we've got to have whatever documentation. That'll just be a conversation piece. That's nothing more. But for tracking anything that I do or our company does with the park, that's not a specific project, you'll be able to then easily track our charges for that by using that number that says park issues.
True. Or we could also use the additional services reports to track it. I don't personally care how you track it internally in your company. I don't. And if you want to try again and see if you get a board vote to have a parks project, my only concern with having one is that lots of things start dumping in there. and things get charged to parks that aren't parks. That would be my only concern, but I do watch it, so I immediately recognized it was a park issue when I saw it on your billing. But I also remembered distinctly that we did not approve a park project. So honestly, I personally don't have a care one way or the other. It just must be consistent how we do it.
So the consistency is we need to start getting any committee to ensure that they submit whatever paperwork y'all have agreed to as a board that to be submitted.
If they use your services.
That's
Any
correct.
committee that uses your services would
I'm
fall
saying,
in that
yeah,
same guideline.
Any committee.
Any committee. But
Yeah.
but if you were answering a question, and I'm just going to say like a budget question, well, we don't want you to charge that to parks, okay? Because that'll mess up the books. Okay, we wouldn't want your time charged to parks unless you were actually working for a park issue. Because at the end of the year, if we said, how much did we spend in parks? We wouldn't want any like your infrastructure plan. We don't want that to fall under parks.
And I really don't, okay, you mean, if you put it all under my general number, I will never be able to pull out a year's worth of information from all of those bills.
Yeah, that would be.
And tell you that something was parks related.
Right. That is something to consider, that you would not be able to present that to us, but we should be able to get that information from the accounting system because it would be logged as an expense against the parks, and it would have that supporting report that the committee writes when they use your additional services. So here's how it would look to somebody looking at the records, okay? Oh, additional services to engineering on a parks committee request for an amount of under $1,000 or less. So we would be able to see that it was a parks issue, although I understand it would be difficult for you to report it to us as a parks issue unless you tracked it internally as something you did for the parks. Does that make sense?
Well, I understand.
So
I understand what in your mind, it's simple to do it that way. In my mind, it's not, because of the way things have been being questioned in depth and detail this last 6 months.
yeah,
So I want to be able to address your concerns as quickly as I can.
okay,
By using this parks issue job number that we have set up to catch the miscellaneous stuff, not projects, miscellaneous stuff, then that's what that's for. And then you can pull that. We've actually set up the same thing for the infrastructure, for the meetings, because I think the request last month is that I should be just charging my time off to all these other projects that we're discussing in those meetings. Well, the problem is none of that time is factored into any proposals that I give you, because that's not how we've been doing it.
yeah,
That's just discussing all of these at different levels. So there's now an infrastructure committee number that for meetings and any miscellaneous requests outside of that is where those things are going to be billed, so that if it's not specifically job related, a project related that I have open, that's where the cost is going to fall into. And again, it's for tracking anybody to track it, not just me. But, when you get that, I mean, if you want even directors' names, I don't mind putting, Director Dudo requested that, we follow through and get some information from Ferris Design. I have no problem doing that if that's how y'all want to do it under that number.
well, the way you had recorded it, I was easily able to figure out exactly what you did. I mean, exactly what that service was. It was well recorded. I didn't have any issue figuring it out. The only thing I couldn't tell was who requested that additional service. And then, of course, there was no form attached to your invoice. So, which is.
I really think for the tracking and budgeting, as you've mentioned, for future involvement of our company with the Parks Committee or even with the infrastructure, is to have that miscellaneous job that has been set up for both of them, such that you can see what's miscellaneous, and you're not going to see a specific job that's open billed against that miscellaneous. It's going to be billed to the specific job if it's a job. But there's a lot of things that are just like this one, it's phone calls.
A phone call, exactly.
It's go pull something off of your server to find out some clarity for somebody doing the work out there. It's just generally stuff like that. That's really the only type of stuff outside of meetings that I see going into that.
Okay.
And
Well, I
then
don't make the
we'll
decisions
work-
here, Herb, but I
we'll-
like what you said.
We'll work with the committees. I'll make sure and do my part and make sure and remind the committees about these forms that we need to be putting together. That sound reasonable?
It does.
Okay, I'm looking at the two committees.
We only have one there, so look at his
Well,
face real good.
I got one from the infrastructure and then one over here from the park. So if I get head nods from the two committees I'm involved with, then I'm good. Okay, so back to the Vera Duty, I haven't heard from them. I haven't any contact, so there's really nothing, no conversations have been had. They'll just be small conversations I anticipate anyway at this point. So if it turns out that down the road, it looks like more, we'll have that discussion and look at needing to do more if necessary. And then under the item 3 of the report from the Infrastructure Committee, Art, I did not get this agenda in there initially, so I put the mission statement that we're working on. I just kind of made myself a hand note to cover it under that additional stuff that the infrastructure is working on. And that currently is their work. We started putting together a mission statement for the committee itself, as well as outlining some of the budgetary things that they will be looking at on an annual basis outside of the goals and the procedures of what they're trying to get accomplished.
And Herb, we'll have this by June, right? So we can start the budget process?
Yeah, we'll have this wrapped up by the next committee meeting, and then you'll be able to present it at that time. The committee can present that to the board to, see what it says. I don't know how the board, if they want to ratify it or some, make a motion or not next month, but something to consider, I guess.
You're making a mission statement for the Infrastructure Committee?
It's I'm calling it a mission statement, but it's basically the committee had been asked for some time to, what is it y'all do? What is it y'all do? Well, but we're putting it on paper.
Okay,
That's what we're doing.
all right.
And then outside of that, it was just the approval of the invoicing, and that was completed, I believe. Art.
Yes. Okay, is
That's
that all we have?
That's all that's there, unless there's any other questions.
Yeah, Herb, I just had 2 questions. One is kind of for you plus the infrastructure committee. And that relates to the trail that goes from Cashel Pond to Anderson Mill Pond.
Okay.
And there's a series of steps that go up to when you get up to Anderson Mill Pond. And we've had some residents concerned about the safety of those steps. And my understanding is that the slope and space that you had was such that you had to do steps versus a ramp. But there's not even a handrail there. And I was wondering if that's something that the infrastructure committee would look into, or if that would be parks, but kind of having a rail on the side that sort of plummets down into the depths of that ravine. And especially for, older residents.
It is a steep slope, but we did not put a handrail, and correct me if I'm wrong, Herb, because one, the initial slope wasn't going to be that steep, and 2, for mowing purposes and stuff, we didn't use the handrail. It fell within the what do you call it?
The TOS
guidelines.
It did not meet the standards for TOS to put the handrail in. But if y'all could make a decision right here. If the board wants to look into putting a handrail there, give the direction, and we'll get pricing to put a handrail in there and bring it next month.
Okay. So we can bring that up, but to give us an estimate of what it would be, and then we'll talk about, what we can do, how long it's going to be, you know, which side it's gonna, I know it's gonna be just on one side, right, Megan? Is that what their concern was?
Yeah, I mean, I think one side would be adequate, just something, because the stairs are, you know, a little steep for
Now,
older
one thing to consider is that there's a lot of skateboarders and bicyclers that go there, and and that was one of the other reasons Herb and I didn't want to put a handrail there, because they tend to get a little bold and go down that sidewalk pretty fast. So I don't know. As far as the steps are concerned too, you didn't ask about the steps. You just wanted the handrail, correct?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess they'd have if they came from the top, there's not a whole lot of run up in concrete to those steps, is there? Because then it goes into the DG trail.
Yeah, it's what, at least 100 feet.
In order to get speed to,
And
It's
it's
a
just,
gradual slope.
and it's just, you're talking about just the section there at Anderson Mill West Pond, not back towards Cashelwood.
right, yeah, the
Okay.
steps back toward Kishelwood are, I was talking to Mackenzie about this today, and it may be something, but maybe you can answer this. I don't know if Mackenzie's had a chance to talk to you about it today, but the other issue with the steps that are farther down, kind of, you know, back along the path, is there's sort of these like 2 or 3 random steps that when they're all just the white concrete. And so when the lighting is low, it's really hard to not even see the step at all. And I almost tripped over one, not seeing it. And supposedly there was a resident who like really injured her foot on it because she didn't see it. So we were wondering if there's a way to mark them with like reflective paint or something so that it's obvious that there's a step there.
Well, they did mark him with that tape, but that tape
Yes.
fell off.
Came right off.
So yeah, we need something more permanent.
Yeah.
too.
We've been looking today,
Sure.
Megan, or me and Lee have, just to see if there's some sort of like yellow or green reflective paint that we could put on the face of the top, the face, and then maybe 2 inches of the top of the steps.
Yeah, that would stay and not, you know, have staying power.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So who's responsible for getting Sunscape to do all the trimming around the sidewalk? It looks great now, because they were mowing the lawn, but they weren't trimming around the sidewalk, and it looked terrible. Now, I guess one of you talked to them because they did it, and it looks really nice.
Yeah,
So kudos to you.
We've been talking.
yeah, but they're on it.
They're trying to catch up. It's a lot, but they're trying to
Yeah.
catch up.
They are. They are.
And the rain
understandable.
rained so much, the grass is just growing like so much
Yeah.
faster. And then Herb, the other question I had is I noticed on your invoices that someone from your office at least had successfully contacted the city of Cedar Park about that wall behind
Yes,
the lane. Can
yes.
you just sort of summarize what you found out about that?
Well, I found out a couple of different things. First, they told us they were going to be putting a wall up. They were being required to put a wall up on the inside of their property all along that pond. And then when that information was conveyed to me, I said, well, what are they doing at the drainage area? Because we got drainage that goes through there. So we got back in touch with the Cedar Park and find out, well, no, they're not putting the wall back there now. Because of the slopes and because of the drainage. They're going to handle the drainage on site through one of their other structures that they're building. So the developer will not be doing a CMU wall as was first relayed. So across the pond section, there's really not going to be doing anything. And if you did an 8-foot wall, which is their criteria, you can look at the fence, just follow the top rail of the fence, and that's below. You wouldn't be blocking anything vision wise. So.
Okay. So what can we do for if you know there are homes that back up right there and now they're just going to back up to straight up to commercial, heavy commercial, whatever it's supposed to be?
Well, my understanding
mall.
of where the homes are, the back lots of the homes, those sections will have that wall block screening.
Okay, so they
Where
okay.
the homes are, there'll be screening. Where the pond is, there won't be.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
think they're not requiring it to cross that pond again because of the steepness of that drop off. It's going to end up being below what the top of the berm on the pond is.
Man, are they ever gonna
That's a
finish that thing?
bummer.
I wonder if there's any, do they, where are they in the process? Do they have any site plans or anything yet? Or is
They
it,
just cleared the land and then they stopped.
Yeah, they've, from my understanding, all the permits are in place where they've already gotten their plans and moving forward, so.
Okay. All right.
Question on that
Anything
same
else for her?
pond. One more thing. That same pond, that dog park on London Lane,
Yes, ma'am.
are you working on a railing for that one?
No.
I asked you about it a couple of months ago because my neighbor took a header down that steep. He wears a prosthetic leg and doesn't bend so good. But there was a woman in there that helped him get up. But if you could look at a way, we talked about this, of putting a railing in that dog park, he for sure would be helped getting down to the bottom.
Is that the driveway that slopes down into
Yeah, the
the?
London Lane pond, that's the.
Is that a driveway?
Yeah,
It's
well,
an-
it's
an
for
access.
the utility vehicles to go down, but it's a slope that goes down
Yeah,
into
it's
the.
pretty steep.
It's
Yeah,
got,
it is.
it's got concrete pavers underneath there, and that's.
Yeah,
that's
it does.
the sole purpose to get equipment to remove the silt periodically. It doesn't have to happen very often.
Okay,
That's-
that's the spot I'm talking about.
Okay.
If you're looking at the other railing for over where Art lives, check out that London Lane as well and see if there's a way to put a railing there for
Okay.
people who try to walk down there.
Okay, would y'all like to open a specific job for handrails?
Art, are we talking like over 10,000?
No.
Not to exceed 5,000, maybe?
That would even cover construction if you went with something. That's plenty. And I can do both of those under a handrail job number.
Okay, I think
Okay.
that's probably a good way to do it.
Okay.
Or can we make a motion for that, Bill?
Yeah, I would suggest you do a motion.
Okay, so we're gonna make a motion to create a project, a handrail project for various locations throughout the district. Is that correct? Is that right?
Three locations.
Three locations throughout the district with a not to exceed amount of $5,000. Okay, that's my motion. Who seconds?
I second that motion. Does it cover, are you going to do the old mill railings on that same project?
Yeah, the old mill, the Anderson Mill, and the London Lane.
And
We'll-
5,000 will cover it?
I'm pretty sure it will. Once I go, I mean, it's just a matter of,
Just a
Yeah.
couple of pipes, right?
I think we're fine. Well, it's. a
Well,
little
and
bit-
then if Williamson County covers 1,400 Old Mill, then.
Well, then
that's-
that would be fine. I guess if it's not enough, you can always let us know. We can always do more. right?
If it looks like something's not gonna work out right, I'll definitely let you know ahead of time.
I did the
Okay,
second
so,
one.
Linda, you second, correct?
I did.
Any other discussion? Okay, okay, Megan,
yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
and I say yes too, so the motion is forward. Anything else for Herb? Okay, Herb.
All
Thank you
righty,
very
well, y'all have a wonderful evening and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Herb.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Herb. See ya.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to skip skip forward to 4A, which is the manager's report. Mackenzie.
All right, you guys should be able to see it. So as we discussed with Herb, 89% accounted for this month, nothing significant to note or report there. Alterman did come out and complete the check valve replacement for the hatch lift station pump. We'd kind of briefly discussed that not too long ago. We had high run times on that one, or I was actually calling out for high level, and we pulled that pump out, cleaned it, and determined that the check valve had gone bad. As I had reported earlier, wastewater transport has completed the jetting of the lines in the district at this time. We're just waiting on them to get that video confirmation back to us so that the infrastructure committee can review that. Under parks, the door handles at Anderson Mill West bathrooms have been replaced by the locksmith, so those are good, new, and hopefully have no more issues with those going forward. The timers at the fans, for the fans in the Anderson Mill West Pavilion have also been installed. And at this time, the Parks Committee would actually like to make a recommendation of going ahead and approving the limestone wall repair that's there at Old Mill and Anderson Mill. We had previously discussed this one, and we were kind of weighing our options. We had Scott actually go out and take a look at this himself and make a recommendation, as well as speak to the resident whose home that this backs up to. And it was not only just Scott's recommendation, but the request of the homeowner as well, that the wall stay put and not be taken down. And the Parks Committee agrees with that. So I've reattached the invoice for that. The total amount of it on that invoice is the $175.31. And that's just a little further down in the report, and we can scroll to that, or I can keep going and then we can take care of it later. It's totally up to you guys. But Megan or Beth, would you guys like to chime in at all on that one?
Yeah, this was back when we were looking at the landscaping for that corner of Anderson Mill and Old Mill, and also having a tree taken down that's sort of like super wonky tree. And the tree removal was approved, but the repair of the wall, which it's literally a single block to be fixed on this kind of retaining wall, was postponed. So as Mackenzie said, we had Scott go look at it, and we're just bringing it back to approve repairing it. And I think they still haven't taken the tree down, so they can do it all at one time. It's $175 or something like that, I think. Right?
Yeah, the repair of the wall is $175. The cost for the actual total of that invoice, let me scroll down for you guys. I'll just go ahead and pull it up. It's right here. So this is that invoice that we had. So we had approved the tree removal already and haul off. We just didn't approve this $175.31. So that's all we're asking for at this time, is to go ahead and approve that amount so that they can go ahead and take care of it as well.
So the tree removal has been approved. The rock wall repair has not, correct?
Correct.
And Art, I sent you pictures of that rock wall. Do you remember getting them?
Yeah. And I live right by there. I thought too, it
Yeah.
does need repair. So it's good to do them both at one time. I agree. All right. So do we need a motion for this bill?
Yeah, we'll need a motion to approve the $175.31.
I agree. You need a motion.
Okay. Motion to approve Sunscapes to repair the rock wall at Anderson Mill and Old Mill intersection for $175.31.
I'll second. Any other discussion? Okay, Linda,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
and I say yes too.
Awesome, good deal. We did want to report Sunscapes has met with Legacy, the arborist, and they have toured the district together, just getting a good map of the hazardous limbs that we do still have that are high up in trees that Sunscapes is not comfortable taking care of themselves. And we're just preparing a plan to move forward with that. That's pretty much all the update we have currently. Both of the line items under infrastructure committee, we've already covered in Herb's report. For customer care, the billing notice verbiage was sent out to everybody. We took in the comments received and have sent that over, and it should be approved and ready to go for the 520 bills. And just a little bit of a report, we had made notice on last month's meeting that we could begin having our customer service department call some of the people on our arrears list because we have so many. And they have begun doing so. They've just let us know that they can only take care of so many each day, that they have the capacity to do so, but they have begun making those calls. For records modernization, I've attached a little bit of a excerpt here that I got from our rep with Onyx. Onyx is the company that is basically who represents us to Google. You can't directly verse with Google. You have to do it through a representative. They let us know that Google is changing from being called G Suite to being called Google Workspace. And they've provided quite a bit of detail on this. The current package selections we have that we've had for years now, it's kind of been a piecemeal process of putting that together, is no longer an option to piecemeal it together. However, they have provided us the best options per what our current package is for WTC, and those are included below. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to it. Here.
That's it.
So, and I did send this out to the Records Modernization Committee. This was received really last minute, so we didn't have time to meet on this. However, not much is changing here. They're just like detailing it out for you as to what the change was, transition from G Suite to Workspace, and then how the change impacts the district as what our current package is. And then just below here, they list out the features in the business plan, which is what they recommend WTC use. And from here, they actually break it down to what our current total annual cost is and per user cost, and what our two options will be moving forward. I did get to briefly talk to Megan about this one, Art, and we kind of came to that general consensus as well, that doing a 3-year for this would probably just be honestly perfect, and you're saving not very much, but a little bit here, $38.40 a year. By doing this, if you do sign up for a 3-year contract, we're currently under a 1-year contract, which is why you see that charge come in once a year. And you would see that difference here of the 140 per person, 140.4 per person at a 1684.80 per year. So this is just kind of a notice to you guys. We were just notified of it last week. We just needed to see how the board would like to move forward with picking your options of either 1 or 2 here. And the difference is either signing on for a 3-year contract or signing on for a 1-year contract.
Okay, and the existing contract we had was a year-to-year contract? Or was
Correct, it is. It's a year-to-year contract. The current total per year is $14.64. You have a 72 per user for G Suite Basic and a 50 per year for Vault. Those are just what they used to be called. This is what's now going to be offered in the package that you would have all of these features here. Most of them you currently have, some of them are new. But this is basically just detailing that out for you. You currently pay $122 per user per year. If we went with a 3-year, you'd save a couple bucks a year per person, and it would be $118.80 per year per user. And then if you did another year-to-year basis, you're looking at $140.4 per user per year.
So if I understand this correct, we're getting more features for actually a little less cost. We're about.
Yes, if you yeah, essentially yes, you are. And especially if you do the 3-year contract. And another reason why I think that this would be the best option is we're getting ready soon to push this out even further for the board to utilize the Google Drive more than they have ever before. So I don't see that the use of this is going to get dumbed down anytime soon.
That was my next question. With us going to the Google Drive and trying to utilize it more and more, will this work for us in your opinion?
Mm-hmm.
Then, I mean, are we going to make a decision today on this? When do they need?
We would need to, because I need to notify our rep what the
Okay.
decision of the board is going to be.
I thought we were renewed until July. You just paid an upgrade fee. And I honestly have no idea how you are using this product other than email. So I would like to ask for some, at least until next month, to be able to look into these suites and see what we're supposed to be getting out of them, and who knows how to use them, because right now we don't have a shared drive. We don't have a vault that I can access. I don't think it's a good idea to jump and leap into something before we know what our options are. We've had this product since 2014. We've been renewing a license on this thing that long, and it's barely in use. So if it's okay with everybody else, I'd like to look at the total cost invested in this product and what we've gotten from it first, because there's a lot of free stuff on the market now. And maybe for the limited use that we use, maybe we don't need to be spending money like this. Maybe we can do it with free tools.
In other words, what do you think, Megan?
Do the free tools have all of the, my understanding is that this comes with extra levels of security that are appropriate for government, if we're going to be storing documents on there.
Right. And I don't know, because I've not looked at this particular suite here, how it compares to free tools.
Yeah, that would be a good idea to look at what the enhancements are, especially when it comes to security. So, I mean, Mackenzie, can we prolong this another month until we all review this?
I will check back with the rep. I know she was asking for a decision last week and I told her I couldn't give her one until I met with the board. If it needs to be brought up at next week's meeting just to address that, we'll have to wait. I'll let her know, but I will have to check with our rep just to see what her time frame is. She just asked me, she didn't say it had to be done, but she was asking if the board had made a decision.
Well, Mackenzie, would you do me a favor, please, and tell me when our current renewal expires?
I will, but I don't have
'Cause
that on here.
we do have a contract that I thought it renewed in July, so we should have a little bit more time.
Yeah, I agree. I think if we have that time for renewal, we have, they can't take that away from us. That's an agreement, so.
Well, they wouldn't take it away from you either. That we've never had an issue like that before. This is just something that was recently brought to our attention of the track that Google is taking. So when your current options are no longer going to be available, they do a really good job of giving you the best option for you moving forward.
I personally don't think waiting another month and doing a little more research wouldn't hurt,
I agree. If this is the best choice, then it's a simple decision. But if there's other choices, we should consider them all.
Just for a little bit of 2 cents for everybody here, we use this for all of our other districts. So Infomark isn't really going to be able to have any input for you guys on other systems we use. I know that's typically a question y'all will have. This is what we use in all of our districts that we do management for the email services and the back
so
end.
everyone has converted over to this option 1.
Actually, yeah, they have already. Not the
Well,
option
that's
1
because we have a
necessarily, the
contract.
option that Google has given for them, but they have converted over.
Well,
I have no problem with you guys waiting. I just wanted to let you know that we utilize this in our other districts as well. So we don't have an opinion on doing this throughout a different company or any
That's
input
fine.
on how that works.
Yeah,
so
that's fine.
let's put it to a vote then. Who wants to, I'll motion to wait 1 more month so we're allowed the time to review either option 1 or option 2, see what enhancements we get, or make a decision and choose either option 1 or option 2 tonight. So that's my motion. My motion is to wait a month. I'm sorry.
I'll second your motion for a little more research for another month.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, my question is who is assigned to do that research? Records modernization or
Anybody who has time to look. We're going to bring it back to the board in a month and discuss what we see, what we think.
Okay, so with that being said, that's a good question, Megan. Where can we find this information? That's what we're gonna have to.
Google.
True, but it's ironic. But I don't know. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but we can. I mean, we're saving the money now, but
We've already paid for it. We're not spending anything today. We're not saving anything today. We've already paid until I believe.
no, I'm saying if we go with the other option, we save a tiny bit, but not much. But
You can save that when you renew in July too.
okay, well, let's put it to a vote. So you second, Megan. How do you vote?
yes, that's fine.
Beth,
Yes.
Linda.
Yes.
Okay, then I vote yes too. So we'll do some research. I'll reach out to you, Megan. I'll try to do some research on this thing too. I'll get with you, Mackenzie. When do you go on maternity leave?
So this will be my second to last meeting with you guys. I'll be here next month, but I literally will be induced the day of your next meeting next month.
Okay, so if I get with you.
That's why I'm here.
Yes,
Well, the
that's
reason I'm
right.
asking is we're having a meeting on the 3rd of June. Can we throw this in there?
That's not a board meeting, Art, but
I know,
that
it's
is a.
No,
that's
but
a
for
meeting
Megan and I to
staged.
kind of tag this along with the record modernization.
I mean, we could, but we'd just do it aside from Sage joining. Because that was that day for us to meet with Sage to create the Google Drive folder for them.
What do you think, Megan?
Yeah, we can definitely talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
then we can come back with a recommendation and then go from there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay,
All right.
good deal.
All right. Just a little update here on the building at Lakeline. We've basically gone through almost everything with the insurance company and the adjuster at this point. I was actually in contact with them today. I did get a report from them initially when we had spoken to them, or when I'd spoken to the insurance agent who was assigned to the claim. He had let me know that the repairs to the actual lines in the building that caused the damage were not covered. So I actually came back and asked him the same question again, and he told me that they actually are. So the invoice that you guys saw, or the work order for all of those plumbing repairs, has been sent over to them now, and they're reviewing and will provide basically what they decide to pay for of that. So we should get some of our money back there for all of the plumbing repairs. And that's not just for Lakeline Oaks. That's also for the outdoor restrooms at both parks, because they did both sustain some damages there. We couldn't necessarily directly relate them to the freeze. However, they were all leaks, so they were pretty easy to say. There was no leak before the storm. Clearly something went wrong. So those have all been submitted through insurance. We should hopefully hear back from them soon. And the other part of that is the contents list itself has been submitted. And basically they're working off of that now to provide another check out for that. And we're in the process of getting contractor bids in to get the building repaired. I did go ahead and get the FEMA application filed. We don't have any other update on that other than it's been filed. To its extent, I actually got the email today that we had the final approval for the district's FEMA application. So from here, we're just waiting to hear back from the rep that's going to be assigned to us.
Great.
All right. Moving on to the billing summary here. Number of accounts billed, 1927, no changes there. Total gallons consumed, we are pretty high compared to last year, but that's kind of been the trend going this year at 14,426. Average of accounts billed for this month was 7,486, and our total receivables is 278,531. Zoom out just a bit because these reports are large. Moving on to our receivables and collections here. Hopefully you guys can see all of this. I might need to minimize that. So your 30-day here and the amount totals is 17,441. We are a bit higher than we were last month. Same goes for 60-day. We are a bit higher. We are a bit lower on 90, and we are a bit higher on 120. And overall, higher on both, higher on total receivables. As far as delinquent letters mailed, we did mail 180 delinquent letters, and we hung 132 tags. Obviously, nobody has been disconnected for no use. Here you go is the number format as well. So it's trending just the same, higher here, lower here, higher or lower overall here. There's your arrears report and graph form. Your quality report here doing just fine at 2.95, just needs to be over 0.5. And then our water accountability, so that report is so small. Down here, we're coming in at 89%. So that being said, I don't think that there's anything else to discuss. We did this, and just so y'all know, this is the Fazone construction proposal we received that we discussed in Herb's report. I provided a copy of it in mine, so there's an actual copy of that proposal with the amount. And that concludes my report, unless you guys have any questions.
I have some questions for you.
Okay.
I'm gonna go through use the agenda though, okay? Under the manager's report. So 4A, review directives of pending board directives. Last month, we talked about you preparing a package of pandemic procedures, end of pandemic procedures for people that were in arrears and in jeopardy of having their water cut off. You were going to put together a package that told them what was happening, what they could do, and we were going to look for anybody with medical conditions so that their water would not be shut off. That was due to the board on May 13th for review, but I didn't get a copy. I put that together.
I have not. I guess maybe I misunderstood what our plan was there. I thought our plan was to get these details posted to the website.
No, we agreed that you would, when you hang tags, you would put a little note in that with it, something that would let them know this is going to happen on this date. Here's what you can do.
You're talking about the end of the moratorium, right? Linda?
Right. Giving them, so that's no misunderstanding and they know what they need to do. We were only going to write it for those people that, the 52 accounts, I believe it was, that McKinsey sent us a report on. Those people that are in jeopardy of having their water turned off, for those people, not for the whole district, of course. So we still need that before we go turning people's water off. We still need that what we discussed, what the board agreed on and voted on to provide to people prior to June 13th, I believe was the date.
Yes, so we'll get that to you guys. I was not aware that that's what y'all were expecting for the 5/13 deadline. I was under the understanding that was for the billing message because we needed to have the comments back and then things approved for that. We'll work on that. Tags have not gone out yet, and we've actually reached out to the customer care committee to get a more appropriate timeline outlined for when we need to be telling people that they will be cut, basically. So that date, I believe, is July 10th is when basically their last day to sign up for a payment plan or pay their balance in full.
Well, tell me, did I misunderstand? Because what I reviewed for the water bill was just the increase in service rates. It didn't say anything about the pandemic protocol, did it?
No, but what I'm saying is it was my understanding you wanted the verbiage that was going to go out by that date, not this verbiage that would be on the tags. So that was a misunderstanding, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So can we still make that?
Regarding the pandemic ending and the notices for that, what I was letting you guys know is we did reach out to the customer care committee to discuss a more, because while we say June 13th, we needed a more detrimental deadline of figuring out exactly to tell people when they would be cut. It's also as well for us to provide to our customer service department who's making the calls.
Well, along those lines too, Mackenzie, weren't we going to have like an extended payment plan for those people?
We did, and we've outlined that as well in my details to my customer service department. So our goal is to do what we can to get them in at the standard 3-month, offer a 4 or a 5 or a 6, because that's what we authorized from the board. The board authorized was up to 6, but to try our best to get people in at the 3, and then kind of move forward from there. So we did work on that at least to make sure that when our customer service department is making the calls for that arrears list, they have some sort of basis to go off of from what the board approved for what they need to know regarding their basically their deadline.
Now, did I understand this last month? Some people had extremely high amounts, like 4,000, 5,000 range. Is that correct?
I believe some did. I don't know them off the top of my hand. I'd have to pull that arrears list back up.
Okay. And Bill,
there was
if
some
we wanted to give these people like a year to pay off or 9 months, if they needed it, could we do that through a directive, or how would we handle that?
Well, if you want Infomart to handle it, which they should, you're going to have to approve some range on the payment plans. It could be based, if you wanted to, the board could base it upon the amount due and have additional time to pay the accounts that have higher amounts.
I mean, would you guys see that as a fair plan for these people that really have these high overextended payments or default payments?
Of course, that's fair. I thought what we were going to try to do is address the folks that haven't made any payments at all. in
Well,
12
yes.
months. So, you know,
you're correct. Along those same lines, we would
Yes.
direct those people to say,
I mean,
okay,
I think that needs to be the first people that you touch base with, because when I looked at the report, everybody else is making payments, not all their bill, but making payments. I would think that focusing on the ones who have not paid at all might be a better approach. And then, of course, what you really, it's going to be case by case. You know, what's the deal? Why aren't they paying? And what do we need to do to, you know, what can we do to make it
incentivize
so
them.
they can pay?
Okay,
But
so
you'd really need to look at that list and then figure that out. I think when Infomark makes their calls, if they run into people who say, I can't pay this off in 9 months, I need a year, they should jot that down. Mackenzie should bring that to the board, or Christy in her absence, and then we have to make a decision. This house has $5,000 worth of bills and they want a year, yes or no.
I think
And
that's
that
a
is
good
a
way to
standard,
approach it.
that is pretty standard for us. If
Yeah.
they, and that's already been communicated to the customer service department when they are making the calls for this. If they run into somebody who denies a 3 month, denies the 4, the 5, and the 6, because it was voted on last month, it was Catherine's request that they only have up to 6 months, that if they deny all of those, that they would then have to tell them they would go back to the manager to take it to the board. So they know that that's basically their rigmarole of what they need to make sure the residents know.
And we're covered on that. All right.
So Mackenzie, let me ask a question. If we lift the protocol against disconnects for non-payment on June 13, when would essentially the red tags, the cutoff tags go on people's doors?
I believe it's tags would go out in the very early few days of July, I think by July 5th. And then you would basically have until around the 10th/11th for cuts, depending on how they fall in a week.
Okay, so one thing we might want to consider, and I guess you guys can think about, is we might need to have a special board meeting in between when those tags go up on that first cycle. We're going to actually cut off people to consider possible payment plans, because we don't normally have a meeting in that cycle.
When should we schedule that meeting? When will we have that information? That's a good point. Sometime in early July or late June?
Well, Mackenzie, are you there? You said it was,
I mean, it takes a little bit for them to pull the arrears report, and it also all depends on what time of the month you're pulling it. And so I think the best case scenario here would be we can bring another arrears report back for the June meeting. And that way it can be reviewed then, and the board can kind of decide from there, okay, are people making payments? Are we seeing a turnaround in this? Basically to assess the situation then, and then we can decide from there if you guys feel a special meeting is needed, because though the report might change very little, it's already going to be communicated to any resident that they have until, I believe I told them, the 9th of July to sign up for a payment plan or pay their balance. It's their choice. So that even on July 9th, you're not going to know who all would be getting cuts until the next day. So it's kind of hard to say when you want to pinpoint it, if that makes sense. But I think at least a review of the arrears list for the June meeting would help for us to assess where we're sitting with our arrears, who's already signed up for payment plans, who has not, and kind of go from there and see how the list changes from the one you recently received versus that one. Because between now and then, calls will be made, notices will be posted, tags will be hung, and letting people know, hey, we are going to, start cutting. So we should hopefully see an influx of people getting on payment plans or paying their balances.
Okay. All right.
Okay. You ready? Do you have anything, Mackenzie, on security measures for the water system?
Security measures, what do you
I'm just going through the agenda because I'm trying to clean up things that we never talk about so that they don't appear on the agenda as places.
if I didn't bring it up in my report, then I'm not going to have anything prepared for it.
How about any changes made to the standing operating procedures manual?
Not at this time.
Okay, detention pond and related issues. I think we covered that through Herb. Preventative maintenance programs.
There was monthly preventative maintenance done recently, but that's all the report I have for that.
That's in the invoices, right?
Correct.
Right.
Billing report cut off. She did.
We did those. Here's one. This is interesting to me. Customer and resident complaints, billing adjustments and reimbursements to customers for repairs in meter box. I'm really interested in the customer and resident complaints, and actually anything that they send into the MUD's email addresses. How can you make that so that we can all see that?
Are you talking about the web forms we receive?
You know,
Or-
on the customer tab on the web, contact us. It goes, I know it must go to a mailbox that Infomark monitors.
Oh, so yeah, we have the CSA US, which is customer service
Yes,
Austin.
that one,
I
yeah.
can tell you, we haven't received anything recently at all. And
Does
we
anybody
honestly
use
receive
that?
the majority of our customer issues via the web forum, and we always send them to the addressable committee that they fall under.
When you say web forum, what do you mean?
So the website itself has a way for them to contact us. I think it goes through the website to our emails directly. So there's like a way for them to click, it'll say contact us. And then there's a few options for things that they can report.
Like
And
street
then when they
lights?
submit it through that, it comes to myself and Lee, and we get a thing that says web forum with the customer's name and then the issue that they've brought up. And we take those and send them to the committees that they need to be addressed with.
I see. Well,
But
I wanna
that's
get
a
into-
range of things. It could be anything.
I think those need to be, and maybe records modernization, or I don't know. Part of the communications policy included a spot where things were transparent. And I think these kind of messages that come in through the website, I would like to scroll through those to see what people are asking and talking about. So perhaps when we're setting up that suite, then we can use drives, shared drives, to make that stuff definitely more transparent for everyone on the board, and then figure out how to route emails there. I'll leave that one on so we can look at ways to solve that. How about adjustment of delinquent accounts? What does that mean?
That's exactly basically what we were just discussing for the arrears.
Okay, so we did talk about that. Builder and aged receivables, what's that?
That's an old one. We haven't done anything with that since I've been on.
Okay, collection of delinquent property taxes.
That one is covered under Michael whenever we do that.
And he does pretty much talk about taxes. I did read somewhere, and I cannot tell you where it was on the website, but Bill, you can answer this question for me. So we can turn off somebody's water for failure to pay property taxes?
If the taxes are over 6 months past due.
Delinquent.
Yeah.
Is that in the rules?
It's actually in the rate order, and it's in the statute. The reason we have not done that, we've been considering it, but we have to there's a couple things that have to happen. One is, and I think it's still on Michael's list, to get a list of all the accounts so we can see what accounts they are. Then there's going to be a history with each account that might involve the county putting them on payment plans. We can't tell that from just the raw numbers.
I see.
And, the county collects the amounts, so they put people on payment plans, they file lawsuits, they enter into agreements. So we've never done it yet. We have always had the ability to do that. And it's kind of stalled out because we need the detailed information. But yes, we can terminate water service if the taxes are more than 6 months past due.
So I guess, and I don't know that you'll know the answer, and Mackenzie, you might not either, but have we ever had somebody go a year and not pay their taxes?
No, not to my knowledge, no.
They
I've
may
never
just
seen
be
it.
very late in paying them all, right? That's the worst case. Would that be right?
Well, I think we need, Linda, I think we need to actually see the information, detailed information from the county. There may be some properties that haven't paid for a couple years.
Oh, there
It's
might be.
It's possible.
Okay,
And
Okay.
they may be in lawsuits, or they might be on payment plans,
sure.
or they might be so small that they're just sitting there.
Okay, well, that's not like a burning question, but I wondered, do we have to go after them for the taxes, or the county goes after them for the?
The county has an agreement with us. They collect them and they go after them.
That's what I wanted to know. Okay. Michael covered that. Michael covered that. Do we need to keep the solid waste collection and disposal service and recycling programs on a monthly agenda, Mackenzie?
Probably not, because I will typically always cover that in my report when we have any updates or
Okay.
things need to be
Well,
discussed.
Well,
Let me just ask that question. I don't want to delete it because sometimes they will come up. These elements are listed, so in case we do have these under the manager's reports, it's on here. Isn't that the way it's supposed to
Yeah.
work?
So Linda, this is something in the manager's report section. We've not gone in and limited to things in their current report. What we did with Herb is we ask Herb every month now, Herb, tell us what's going to be in there, and we try to have agenda items to match. It was a little bit off this time only because he was so late in giving us the changes to the agenda. It didn't match perfect. But every month on Herb's report now, we say, Herb, what is going to be, what are your items? And we put the agenda to match it. We don't put any extra standing items. On the manager section, we haven't quite gotten that far yet. So this is still the old. If we take something off of here and there's, it's going to be debated or acted on, it can't just be in the report. We can't just say, oh, it's in the report. We'd have to have it listed here. So what we can do, we got two ways to do this. One is be careful what we take off because we might need it. Now, if there's things on here we're never going to need, fine. The second would be, which would put a timing crunch on Mackenzie, is we'd have to ask her, give us a list of everything you're going to present this time and limit it to those. So those are really the kind of the two options. Now, you mentioned that you've gone through a couple of things and Mackenzie says we haven't done it for a long time. I can strike those off. And once you get done with your questions, we can go through and strike those off. But anything that we strike off that pops up in the meeting, something related to solid waste disposal programs that we have to act on, if it's not here and it's not somewhere else on the agenda, we're gonna have to wait till next meeting.
Another thing to bring up there too is it's not always just myself that's going to have these items to discuss. There are a lot of times that committee members that we don't even have to meet that month. They will bring up something under one of those items and I may not even know that they're going to. I know Catherine's done that on numerous occasions and so has the Parks Committee. So.
I mean, it's a long list, but I'd rather keep the elements in because like for manhole clean out and maintenance, that doesn't happen, but occasionally, but when it does happen and we have to address it, it's on this management list. So
I think the reason why I was looking at it so closely today is because the Open Meetings Act does not allow you to have standing items. Your agenda is supposed to reflect what you're actually going to talk about. And we have so many standing items under the manager's report that we never talk about, that if we could just get rid of the ones that really are once in a blue moon things, it would look like we didn't have an agenda full of standing items.
Okay, so I mean, we can identify those tonight. And you go ahead and finish your process, and then let's go back and cross out the ones that rarely come up, I guess.
Okay, well, I was checking off the ones that they definitely either her or either Mackenzie or Michael have talked about. Property taxes, termination of water. We didn't talk about manhole clean out and maintenance, but that's really an infrastructure kind of conversation to have. Part of the plan actually should be part of the infrastructure plan. Stormwater management plan. Herb's all the stuff, so that's really confusing to me as well. CMU repairs, wall repairs, we happen to have a need for those, so that's on here. A rental of a speed monitoring trailer, I don't know the last time that happened.
we don't even rent them anymore. I thought we purchased those.
The speed monitoring trailer.
Yeah, I
Not
thought
the
we
sign.
purchased those.
You don't rent them or purchase them. We reach out to the county when we feel that they're needed
Okay,
in
well, they-
specific areas, and they evaluate if it's feasible of an area to put that in.
Okay,
So
so
that-
that one can be stricken out.
That's a fine example. Online bill payment system for customers. We don't talk about it. I guess it's working. Agreement for new direct depository bank account signature card. That was in November. District insurance. Now that's still an item that we're working on, but hasn't been discussed in a while. Streetlight maintenance, repair and replacement, tree trimming and connection with streetlights. That's another one of those infrastructure things. Well, actually, that isn't. That's a thing. It's rarely a topic. Service agreement form for requesting confidentiality. That's on the web. We never talk about it. Payments reviewed, capital improvement. Okay, I went through and X'd what I think never gets talked about.
So what I would suggest, just to save time tonight, is Linda, if you can go ahead and send me your suggested deletions that will appear on the draft agenda that goes out to everybody to comment on. Because we send out a draft and we give people a certain amount of time to respond. So if any directors have a problem with a deletion, to let us know, and we'll pull it back in at least for one more meeting.
All righty, I will do that.
Okay. Linda, anything else on the manager's report?
I went through all the letters A through AC.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on, rate order. Okay, budget's coming up. Rate order's on the agenda. What are we talking about here?
So I actually asked for this one to be on here this month for two reasons. One of those is to address the base fee that's listed on the rate order, and just the way that the verbiage is. So if you are looking at your rate order, and I'll share my screen. I just got to get to the one that I'm talking about. One second. For some reason I can't search it. So the reason why I wanted to bring this up is to discuss a possible change to the verbiage for this, and to also address where it states that the solid waste services, which is obviously trash, bulk, and recycling, is included in this base fee. But however, along with that, it also includes a $15 minimum charge for water, as well as a $10 minimum charge for wastewater. And on a current bill, you'll see it come through and you'll only see the $25 charge. There's no additional amount that's actually covering the trash fees, or trash and recycling and bulk fees for anybody. So I wanted to bring it to the board's attention to ask if there's any potential changes you guys would like to see with this, if we want to keep it the same and possibly change the verbiage on it, just to state that it's included.
Can you bring it up just so we can?
I'm working on it. For some
Okay.
reason, it's not offering me to share that specific window. Give me 1 second. There it is.
I think I have it on your.
Here you go. So it's this minimum monthly charge. When you get it on your bill, I believe it says base services or basic services on your bill. It lists it out at $25 per resident. It doesn't break it down on your bill for where it says water and then wastewater. It just says $25. Obviously, we do have a discounted rate for seniors of it being $11.06 or $7.37. And that's if they've marked themselves as seniors in the system, then they would receive that rate. But if you look here in this line just above, the minimum monthly charge for all single-family residential customers, including 0 gallons of water and sewer service and solid waste disposal and recycling, shall be 15 for water and 10 for wastewater. However, we don't address any charge for the solid waste disposal and recycling.
Aren't they together? I thought they were together.
They are.
That $25 fee.
Do
That's
what?
built
Say that
in.
again.
That's built into the $25 fee.
Correct. My question is, we've had people question it before, though, of well, if it says 15 for water and 10 for wastewater, where does that fall?
Okay, can I interject something, Mackenzie? First of all,
Absolutely.
number one, your minimum monthly charges probably are too low to cover all these items. Historically, we never had a base fee for wastewater. That was added. I don't know how many years ago, but we didn't have it. We just had a minimum charge for water. The reason we don't break out the solid waste disposal and recycling charge is if we break it out and bill it separately, the comptroller will require you to collect and pay sales tax on it. Water and wastewater is exempt from sales tax paid by your customers. So by not breaking it out, the comptroller's opinion is it's not broken out. It's all going to be exempt from sales tax. So we don't want to have a separate charge for solid waste disposal and recycling. Those services are built into the base fee, well, the minimum monthly charges we're talking about. So I would be careful on how we word it and how we bill it, but I don't disagree that perhaps the language could be refined, and I certainly would recommend, at least in the next budget cycle, considering raising those minimum monthly charges. I think the board recognized a while back that they weren't covering the cost, but were reluctant to raise them on customers at that time. And so that's why we don't break it out as a sales tax issue.
So do I understand then correctly that it really isn't 15 for water and 10 for wastewater? That's not really built into that $25 fee. The cost of waste management is built into that fee, and then that leaves money on the table.
Well, yeah, so but I guess it needs to be worded that there's a minimum monthly charge for water of $15, which includes solid waste disposal and recycling. We probably ought to include it in the water charge and then have a separate base fee for wastewater. The base fees are basically, even if you don't use any, you don't use any service at all, there's still costs related to it. So you usually have a base fee to recoup some of your standing costs.
So I'm looking at my bill because I still take a paper bill. And so, and I've never looked at this, but this is going to be a good math problem for me. So my water fee and my sewer fee include that minimum. And then I have a basic service fee of $25. And I know that buried in there is my waste, my trash and my recycling is buried in that basic service fee. But if I have one bill to show this where I use 0 gallons, I was gone for 30 days, used 0 gallons of water, and I still had a water bill of $45 because, as you said, those minimum fees, whether you use 0 gallons or not, the 15 and the 10, that was, but it's recorded under water and sewer. It's not part of the basic service fee.
So you have a separate, on your bill, you have a separate fee called basic service?
Yes, for $25.
And then you have also minimum monthly charges for water and wastewater as well?
Yes.
Hmm.
Well, actually, what I'll do, and I can share this so you can see, this really stumped me when it happened. I have one bill where there was 0 gallons of water used, but I have a water charge, and I have a sewer charge, and I have a basic service, and I have TCEQ and fire protection. And don't quote me, but I think the grand total was somewhere around $45.
If your grand total was around $45, it should be a minimum of 50 of the 2 charges. If you had a basic.
This was last year. So I'll pull that bill so you can see, but what I want to make really clear is that minimum charge for water and sewer is not included in that basic service fee because I have a bill where I use 0 water, and those minimum charges were line itemed, water and sewer, those minimum fees, 10 or 15, whatever it was. But I do have the bill and I know what month it was, so I can pull it and show you what I'm talking about. But
well, I think it's something, it would definitely needs to be looked at. I don't know what committee art would be appropriate to look at possible changes to the rate order and the invoicing. I think it needs to be looked at. You will always, I think you're gonna have a sewer charge even with 0 gallons of water because of the winter averaging. But on water, if you use 0 gallons of water, then you should have your minimum monthly charge of $15. You say you have that, but then you have a basic services charge. So I'm not sure what that is. I think that we do need to look at that closely.
And I do happen to have one bill we can use as an example of how it looks when you use zero water, and then maybe work from there.
I have a question for Mackenzie. Mackenzie, you said a lot of people are asking about this.
No, we've had not a lot. We've had 1 or 2 ask about it. And then I myself asked about it again, like Bill said, we brought this up last year sometime, but we had decided at the time to postpone the discussion. It's just been a topic of discussion for not just myself, but resident and then also the board. So that's why we wanted to bring it back up as we do approach the billing cycle or the budget cycle, mainly just because I would like the verbiage to be a little bit more clear. If we are going to leave it at the 25 minimum, that's totally fine. But like Bill said, I would like that we could move that where it states solid waste disposal for that $15 fee. It would say 15 for water and solid waste disposal and recycling, and then and a $10 for wastewater. That's basically what my move was going to be here. And then this also gives you guys the opportunity to potentially raise them as well, simply because you're approaching the cusp on the senior rates of it almost not covering the waste, solid waste and recycling, because I think that charge is now up to $16. So we're about a little over $2 a month for that one specifically. So it might not be something that we have to consider this year, but possibly next year. But it's just so we can get the discussion flowing and choose the board to choose how they would like to proceed with it moving forward.
Okay, so are these charges covering our expenses?
Yes, currently they are. If you consider the 15 and the 10 to cover the solid waste disposal and recycling for both seniors and non-seniors, they do.
But here's what I learned, Art, when I got some information recently from Chris Lane, I think the financial advisor, and the waste management tally of seniors that they give us a break on rates for is like 250 or 280 seniors. And Chris Lane came up with, through the tax records, okay, filing taxes, there was over 300 of them. So we really need to make that benefit available to our seniors. There's obviously more in the neighborhood than are aware they could have a discount with their trash. Those numbers should match the number of seniors that file taxes, the number of seniors we record. If they want the discount, they should be closer together. They're about 100 off right now. So Mackenzie, if we added another 100 seniors with the discounted rate, then we'd be squeaking by to pay waste management with what we collect. Would that be a correct assessment?
That is a very true statement. Yes.
That's what I was afraid of. That's all part of the budget cycle, Art. I'm hoping that we can look at that really close and find a way to offer the seniors that discount and still collect enough money to pay for the service.
So should we make a motion to develop the rewrite of this?
I think that we need to pick a committee first. And I think that it either falls, I feel like it falls best under either customer care or management. I don't know. It just depends on what.
I was thinking budget, but.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that is true. But the reason why I'd say either customer care or management, I think is because that's typically where we would handle a rate order change, because those two committees more or less apply to it. However, you guys are obviously the ones.
Mackenzie, when I think of management, I think of like, Catherine and I are on the management committee, and it would be to our vendors, like, to you and Bill and Herb and waste management, maybe customer care. I don't know.
Yeah, that was my first suggestion, was customer care, because they typically deal with the residential side of this.
Okay. But this falls along the lines too, because if we're going to do the budget, we're going to have this in place to go forward.
I don't think you could come up with good words until you know how it's going to look in the budget, because that's going to impact the numbers you fill in those blanks. So I think the budget needs to be created first, and then the rate order will probably end up changing anyways, and that would be the time to change those words.
Okay.
Yeah, in the meantime, though, Linda, why don't you, if you can find that invoice you're mentioning,
I
if you
will,
could send it to me.
I will.
And Art, what I'll do is at least take a preliminary look at this wording to see if we have setting aside the numbers, the amounts, if we have a wording problem. And if we do, I can come back with a recommendation, maybe at the
Yeah,
next.
can you do
regular
a red
board
line
meeting.
for us and just kind of,
Yeah, something like that. I'll look at Linda's invoice. I'll look at this more closely and coordinate with Infomark and if we need to change the wording so that it's matches or is clear, there's not mistakes. And then during the budget cycle, we can look at the numbers. So I think we can do it two ways.
so do I need to make a motion to have you start looking at this?
I don't think a motion's necessary. I'll get the invoice from Linda and I'll take a look at it and bring back my comments the next regular meeting. And then you
Okay.
can work that into the budget process as needed.
All right, I think that's the way we should go.
I have one additional thing to address under the rate order, and it's kind of both under but not under. WTC does what we call charge a reread fee. Hopefully you guys can see when I change the screen. Can you see this form? Okay, so this is a form that we've had for WTC for long before I got here. And we give this to customers who request a reread of their meter and let them know that if it comes back and there is nothing wrong and it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, that they do have to pay a $30 reread fee. However, our billing department is just doing a base audit of rate orders to ensure that all fees are covered. And we do not have this fee listed in the rate order currently. So we're asking for the board to approve adding it to the rate order. I would have provided a red line rate order for today. However, I found out about this today and I took it upon already having the rate order on the agenda to go ahead and address it. But it is not currently explicitly listed in the rate order anywhere or addressed. So that would just basically be what we're asking to do, is to address that. If a customer does require or request a reread of their meter, that they would be subject to the $30 reread fee.
Do we have any data on how often this happens?
This happens extremely rarely.
Well, in this
Because-
month's bills, there was at least 3 of them, and there's no charge to us from Infomark. It's part of their base fee. So where does this $30 go?
It goes back to the district. It would come back to you in normal bills, I
Have we
believe.
charged people for it before?
I think that we tried to look up one today and it's been well over a year since we've actually charged anybody for it. And a lot of times this happens because what happens is when a customer calls in for a reread, Lee will then let them know what they can do to look at their meter to address any of their concerns with the possibility of it not reading properly. And they tend to go out, do that themselves, and then determine that they don't actually want us to reread it because it is accurate. So
Okay,
that's
so-
why I say it happens rarely. And Linda, what you may be seeing is we do QCs, which are our rereads. However, those are not customer requested. We do basically like an audited reread of certain meters every month.
There was a couple of work orders this month, Mackenzie, where it said customer called and Phil went out actually, and then it ends with something like hung a tag on the door or something. I don't know. I guess telling them what he found.
You
or
might
something.
be referring to, we had a few for low pressure.
Okay, so would this have any correlation with, once we get all the meters, the digital meters in, the electronic meters in, how would this work with the reread?
It would basically, we would have to readdress this then. So it would just depend basically if they feel the meter is not reading properly and we have endpoints connected to them, it would be a totally different story. We likely wouldn't need the fee at all.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because in my mind, if I tell you why I want you guys to reread my meter, you could do it electronically, right? I mean, why should there be a $30 charge? I guess that's my.
Well,
Yeah, well, that's true. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. But that you're looking pretty far into the future because you'd need endpoints on the meters.
Well,
So even
eventually
though
we're
if we
gonna
go
have
out
them
right
all,
now and,
hopefully.
huh?
Eventually we'll have them all.
Yes.
You know,
But
electronic
like
meters.
right now, when we do the meter change outs, we're not attaching endpoints. That's going to be a totally separate thing that will need to be approved by the board because there's a communication policy that goes along with it for the endpoints communicating. Bill knows a lot about that. And Linda, just so you know, Lee just messaged me on the side. We didn't charge anybody for storm rereads. So if you saw any rereads, that's likely from people requesting it after the storm.
You know, when I saw those Mackenzie, I thought my first thought was, oh, I know why they're wanting a reread, because their month, the storm month, their bill was averaged and lower. And then the next month it went a little higher. So they may have thought something's out of whack. Because I noticed that difference in my bill too. The February averaging, I can see somebody who's like predictably thinking it's between $60 and $70, and now it's $80. Oh, there must be something broken. I think that probably generated some calls for rereads in this batch of invoices.
Yeah, very likely. But we didn't charge, just out of a courtesy, anyone who wanted a reread.
No, there were no charges at all on any of those invoices for that.
Yeah, and like I said, today we tried to find the last one that was charged. That was just a request on a whim, and it was well over a year ago.
So I do have a question though about this, because yes, this makes sense while we're still using mechanical meters. But what I wanted to know, Art, and you're on the committee, why are we not connecting the endpoints of the 100 meters that are out there now, the electronic meters? Why aren't we using the electronic services of those meters now?
Okay, see, that's not, I thought we were. Because
well, they're installed, but they're not connected. They're not talking.
Oh, that's right. Only the 15 people that were chosen to do the meter program, right?
The 10 people from the pilot, yeah.
From the pilot program. We installed the electrical meters because it's part of the meter replacement program, and then later on, we're going to put the infrastructure in for all the endpoints. Is that correct?
I guess my question is, if it costs us $30 a month for 10 meters to communicate back to a source, what's it going to cost us for 1900 meters to talk back to the source?
Linda, the agreement on the license agreement with Badger has a monthly fee per connection. It's about 89 cents under the licensing fee, but the real expense is putting the transmitters or the transponders in all of them.
The frequency, the RF frequency.
Yeah, there's labor, there's some modifications to the meter boxes and things. So the actual monthly, once you get them installed, the monthly fees are going to be somewhere around $1 per meter. And you could work that in the rate order somehow if you wanted to, but there's a substantial cost. I don't have numbers, maybe Mackenzie has an idea, to go in and actually install that other electronic piece.
I don't have the numbers offhand, but you are correct, Bill.
Maybe I'll add that down the road as an agenda item, because I really would like to understand if we're going to put them in place. You know, when somebody's out there installing an electronic meter, it would just make sense to me to go ahead and finish that install completely out rather than send somebody back there a second time to add the endpoint onto that meter.
A lot of it
part of
had
it was
to
a budgetary issue.
I was going to say a lot of it had to do with the budgetary amount we wanted to approve for this. And additional to that, when you do attach an endpoint, you also have to have an entirely different lid for the meter box as well. So that all added up to an expense that the board wasn't comfortable with. And we all kind of debated and agreed that the $50K per year would be enough to get meters flowing in and installed, and then moving forward from there at the end of this all to then address the budgetary need for the endpoints and the additional labor and the additional lids that were going to be needed.
That is correct. When our debt was going to go down significantly, we could start putting more money into the infrastructure for the meters. So.
Okay, well, I'm just going to make a note to look at it during the budget cycle.
Good point.
Mackenzie, I have a suggestion on your reread request. We probably could work on a red line, maybe bring back next month. In the section on leak billing adjustments on page 10, we probably could work it in there, because that talks about when customers contact you and said their bill's high. They might not know if they have a leak or not, but they have a high bill. We probably could have that option in there. We put the leak adjustment provisions in here a while back to make sure they were embedded in the rate order. So that might be the section to look at doing a red line.
I agree as well. And I planned on it regarding what the board chose to do. If they chose to add it into the rate order consulting, you want it as well. But like I said, we got notice of this today and I was like, well, it's perfect because we already have the rate order on the agenda.
Yeah, so we don't have the wording per se, but we could
Correct.
certainly, I could work with you and try to get it in the next red line for consideration. It won't be
Okay.
very difficult to insert it.
Sounds
Can,
good.
can I get the rate order on the website? I can, right?
Yes, it is.
Lovely.
It's on the website.
Should be.
It
Okay.
is.
All right, well, Bill, why don't you work that up? And then, considering Mackenzie's proposal for the $30 reread, and then we'll go from there. And
Yes.
then as the budget approaches, Linda and I can start looking at all these other factors associated with it. So
No, not you and me, not
who's
you,
on the budget committee?
Catherine and me.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's today. That could change. Doesn't matter. I'll be looking at it from my angle, okay? No matter what.
Okay.
So,
All right, sounds good. All right, where are we? Is that all for the rate order?
That is it.
Okay. Next item 6, sign up for the case conference in August. Okay, when's the deadline for that? Does anybody have a date for that?
I did, and I don't have it written down in front of me. I didn't know this item was going to be on the agenda. I think Catherine added it.
So is it actually going to be a physical conference or is it going to be a webinar?
It's a physical conference.
Oh, okay.
It's August 5th. I don't know when the deadline is, but there's also the AWBD conference that's coming up as well at the in San Antonio.
Okay. And this case one is down in South Padre again? Is that where it is?
Yes.
Okay. I guess we can go online and look at the deadline, but if you're going to go, I don't have plans to go because it falls in my budget cycle for my work and I just can't get away. So I'm not going, but if you plan on going, if you haven't submitted your hotel reservations and all the issues you need to, or all the reservations you need to get this going, sign up soon. Do we have a count of who's going? Anybody interested in going?
I think that was the part of this that Catherine wanted to know, is to see who would want to sign up and go. So
Catherine, I believe Catherine is going. I know that I'm going. And Megan, I think you're still in the process of thinking about it. Is that right? Yes, yeah.
Okay. So we got 3 so far.
it would be 2 if it's
Oh,
just
2.
Catherine and Beth so far.
Oh, okay. I thought, okay, Megan's.
I think Megan's still considering.
How about you, Linda?
I'm not going.
You're not going. Okay, I am not going either this year.
I'll read
So,
about it online afterwards.
Okay. So I guess get your reservations in. If you're gonna go. We have 3 going, so. Anything else on the case conference?
I think that was all.
Okay. Item 7 is the request for qualifications of general counsel. Now, Catherine took the lead on that. Her and I talked, we went and looked at some examples of all the elements and all the processes you need to put out an RFQ, but I have not worked on it other than that, other than what I gave Catherine. So when she returns, I guess we can touch base on that again. I have nothing on it. So
we're going to table that.
yeah, we're going to table that till next month. All right. Any other questions on that? Or concerns?
No.
Okay. Item 8, expand the, how do you say this, verdunity contract to include more community outreach. What's this about, Park Committee?
This is nothing. We don't have anything on this.
You don't have anything on it? Okay.
No.
Right. Okay, the item 9 then. Meeting minutes responsibilities. So as I understand it, we're trying to come up with who is responsible for taking the minutes at the DRC and at the board meeting. Is that correct? I'll take that as a yes.
Put that on the agenda.
Pardon?
Who put that on the agenda?
I think Catherine did.
Then let's table that as well.
We're gonna table that? Okay, all right. Nobody wants to talk about that, because one thing that Bill and I spoke about is that in other places, the legal services usually provides the minutes for the meetings. And he does that for his other MUD districts. So that's one possibility. We could go back to that. As I understand it, back in early 2000, we decided to go with, back then, Severn Trent or Infomart, and they're doing it now. But if you want to table that for next month, we can.
Let's table that.
Let me
Okay.
just add that I think Lee does a tremendous job with minutes. She really does a good job with minutes. But in other MUD districts, usually the attorney's paralegal or
Does it?
legal assistant is the one taking the minutes. But I think Lee definitely shines as bright as them. But if in order to get all meetings recorded, unless Lee would like to attend DRC meetings, so all our meeting minutes look consistent on the web, it might be worth discussing.
You mean discussing having our legal services do it?
Either that or Lee attends all meetings.
No.
I don't know what kind of schedule she has or how much she would enjoy
Yeah,
that.
I think would be taxing Lee way too much of it.
Yeah, that's really a lot of work for her. Bill, in your other districts, do you guys provide the taking of minutes?
Yes, this is the only district where the managers perform the minutes, and Art was correct. I reviewed that history with Art and Catherine when this came up. Catherine had talked to a few other districts because they're working on this proposal for general counsel, and she found out it's the norm, just like you said, that typically the legal team takes care of the minutes. So what we do for other districts is I take a legal assistant to the meeting. They take really good notes during the meeting, and then they draft the minutes afterwards and refine them for all of our other districts. This is the only district where we have a manager doing it. But the way that came about, none of you were on the board back then, is the prior law firm took the minutes. The attorney actually spent a lot of time on the minutes under attorney hours, not legal assistant hours. And the board decided they just didn't want to continue that practice. So when they hired us, they asked us if the manager could take the minutes, and we said, sure, they can if they're capable of it. And they incorporated that in ST, which is now Infomark's duties. So since 2000, the manager's been taking the minutes. Now, when we hired someone separate than ST to do deed restriction enforcement, which was real managed, I think in 2007, that task was assigned to the deed restriction manager, then real manage. But I will say the deed restriction committee meetings back in 2007 were nothing like they are now. And I actually didn't attend all of them. I only went by invitation. So they were very, very short, not well-attended meetings. They didn't have district business on them, like board business. It was all DRC business. So, Catherine wanted it on the agenda so we could talk about it. We can bring it up next regular meeting. I don't think there's any rush. But if you made a change, obviously you'd be looking at changing some contracts too. I mean, my office will be happy to do it if you ask me to, but we have other people doing them now, so.
Can I ask Bill for just give me the name of one other MUD district where one of your employees is taking minutes so I can go look at how those minutes look?
Oh, look online?
Yeah.
Let's see. I would say you could, Senna Hills MUD is.
Say that again?
Senna Hills MUD. So
How do you spell Senna?
SENNA.
That's what I thought.
Hills MUD. You can go to their website. They meet every month, and our legal assistant Jennifer puts those minutes together.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, I'd love to see how they look. And yeah, it costs us either to pay Lee to do them when she comes to the meetings, or your assistant doing them, as long as they're good minutes, really, and consistent, so that when you click on minutes on the MUD's website, you know what to expect behind that link, and they always look professional and the same. So And I did learn from the auditor, and I didn't realize this is how they do audits, but they actually use our minutes to look for motions and how we spend money. So it's really important that the minutes are consistent and accurate.
So there you go. That's something that we should definitely consider.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, we'll table this for next month, and then we'll come up with a plan. All right. Anything else on the meeting minutes responsibility? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Item 10, request by a single director for additional work by contractors and consultants. Catherine wanted this on the agenda, and she wanted me to read a statement for this agenda 10. So I'm going to read it to you, and then we can talk about it. In recent meetings, policies and procedures were put in place for subcommittees to be able to authorize additional work by consultants or contractors related to the relationship with committee. For instance, this past month, the DRC committee authorized additional services by SAGE. In this situation, both committee members gave approval for the additional services. It was never intended of the policies to put in place that board members would authorize additional services for committees they were not part of. This would limit the ability of the committee to authorize needed services. The past month, Linda Faber, without consulting a member of the Information Management Committee, instructed Touchstone to analyze traffic to the MUD1.org website. The appropriate path for Linda to have followed would have been to bring this request to the full board and make the request to the committee directly. This would have allowed the committee to prioritize the limited authorization committees have between meetings. It's not appropriate for a MUD to penalize a vendor who is acting in good faith, not realizing the board member is acting outside their authorization. But I do not think appropriate for a board, but I do think it appropriate for a board member to reimburse the MUD for unauthorized expenditures. Therefore, I make the following motion. Vendor contractors are formally notified they can only accept approval for additional services from the full board or specific subcommittee working with the vendor. The vendor will be given the subcommittee and member names. They are authorized to accept additional work authorization. Motion 2, being that it's appropriate to penalize Touchstone, it would be inappropriate to penalize Touchstone, a vendor acting in good faith for the work they performed at the request of Linda Fab. The MUD requests that Linda voluntarily reimburse the taxpayers for the MUD1, the taxpayers of the MUD1 for this unauthorized expenditure for future per diems. Okay.
And the
That's
amount? What is the amount, Art?
I have no idea. She didn't put that amount in here.
Let me see if I understand you correctly. And you just read a statement, so you're not going to be able to answer, but Bill can answer for me. I didn't ask Touchstone to do any work. I asked if they had a mechanism in their web services, since we pay them to host our website, if they had the ability to see traffic on the web. And he said they do. They have reports that they run. So I said, I'd be interested to see a report to see what kind of traffic the web is getting. And so he sent me that information. If Catherine thinks that every time I ask for information, I need to pay for it myself, then what I'm going to do is open records requests, because the board cannot prevent me from getting information. I can't communicate with a committee until a board meeting. And when I'm performing my duties for the district, I need information, and I need it pretty quick. So it's not going to be uncommon for me to ask Michael Luff to run a report, or for me to ask McKinsey for a report. It's all in their contract already. And if Touchstone is not able to provide information to any member of the board that asks, then we're going to have a real problem going forward, because I'm not getting permission from committees to see information that this district owns. It is our data. They are temporary custodians of the district's data. So no, I will not be reimbursing this district for information I need to perform my job.
Okay, I'm gonna ask that we table this so that we make sure that we have the full information. Because if this is something that we had to pay for, which I think is what she's trying to get to, then it would be good if we could have all the information if we're paying this to someone else.
Beth, I have all the information. Touchstone reached out to me and said that you had requested for this report to be done. The report was not free. They had to generate a whole report and write it up and write up the metrics and then send it. And then there was a back and forth with questions. They charge for that. That's their time. It was hours of time. And so they contacted me and they said, I just want you to know that this happened, that we did this work, and you'll see a bill for it. We're not going to see a bill for it till next month. And I asked them how much it would be, and it's somewhere close to the $300 range. So, you know, whether or not you assumed that that work would be free, if you're going to go to a vendor that is typically works with another committee and ask them to run a report for you, then, you know, I think you need to find out if that's going to cost extra money, because a lot of
I would have actually expected the gentleman to say, I can do this for you, but it's going to cost X number of dollars. Do they not do that with the committee, or do they just work and then send you a bill?
They bill us for everything that they do.
That there was a fee involved, and I have the email exchange back and forth. He said it is a service that they do provide. It is something that they can do, and nobody asked him to write a dissertation about what I was looking at. And it was valuable information to see that they don't collect data that would be useful. But you have to look at what they have first.
okay.
Did you bring that to the board
Were you under the
first?
impression that it was part of their contract? Is that what you're saying?
Well, running report, it's just kind of like Michael Luft. If you call him and ask him to run a report, he doesn't charge you for that service. He's holding our data. We pay Touchstone to host our site. They have our data. If I had access, I'd rather have access to the data myself, and I'd run the reports myself. That would be my preference. I wouldn't have to ask anybody. The data's just sitting there. I didn't ask him to write a book or here's what you're looking at and this is how we interpret it. I didn't ask for that. I said, do you have the traffic on our website? And he put together a beautiful little package, and then we had to agree that it wasn't exactly the way it was written.
Okay, so let me understand what I'm hearing. So what I'm hearing is that this was supposed to go through the board first for approval, so that it could be paid for, but it didn't go through the board. So this is something that was done on the outside, and now we have a bill that needs to be paid, and the board doesn't feel that we should pay for it. We think that you should pay for it. Am I hearing this correctly?
You're just one person, and quite honestly, if that's how our contractors, well, Sage does that too. They want to charge for giving back our records. If that's the case, we need to look at our service providers, because nobody does that. I get the fact that if he needed to spend that much time, he needed to make it clear there would be a charge. He didn't do that. He didn't do that.
But everything that they do for us, they are charging us for.
Yes, it's their
Everything that they do for us, they charge.
That's great. He should have said, I can do that for you, but there will be a charge. That would have immediately, I would have immediately.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the beginning. From the very first thing that I heard her say is that from what I'm understanding and from what I remember when we did our communication policy, is that this should have gone through the board first.
No,
and it didn't.
It doesn't say that at all.
Well, I mean, you're putting it on them. You didn't ask the question either. And you jump all over us for every penny spent. So I'm putting it out there because I think that I think that the possible solution is that certain vendors need to know that directives for additional work, if they're going to spend additional work on something, that can only come from a committee that is authorized to.
Well, like for example, legal services and engineering services. Those are a consulting type vendor, correct? So any board member can ask Bill or Herb to run some kind of report regarding their consultation. Now, this vendor is a little different because he provides a service, a concrete service, if you will, of all the web trafficking and videotaping that we provide. So is there a distinction there, Bill? Can you pipe in on this? Are you allowed to pipe in on this?
Okay, so there's a couple things here. I'm not going to try to influence how the board ultimately says this, but if you have a contractor that's on a kind of a base fee, and we have several contractors that are like that, and they provide additional services for additional amounts, then and there's a lot of unknowns here or maybe miscommunication or something. If you have a contractor that has a base fee and you want them to do additional services, we've addressed that with the authorizations we've given basically to committees. Okay, up till now, we've not really had a problem with one director contacting a vendor that's on a base fee asking for additional services. Our office, it doesn't have a base fee. So if someone contacts our office, and I've said this in other meetings, we're a little different. Like Art contacted me today to get ready for this meeting. Linda contacts me sometimes for documents or information. I talk to Megan sometimes about issues. I don't refuse to talk to a single director. I don't make them say, where's your board authorization? Where's committee authorization? But on the other hand, I never launch a major expensive new project without board approval. So there's the intermittent interactions that don't amount to a lot of money. I have to accommodate those by individual directors. I'm not so sure Herb does that. I think Herb probably is going to be authorized by the board or committee before he'll do very much, unless he's
That's true.
asked
Herb's a little different.
So Herb's
Yeah.
a little different. But then when we get to Sage Management, if we got apparently Touchstone, and we have Infomark. A lot of things are in Infomark's base fee, but there are additional services. Again, we don't have a resolution that I'm aware of that authorizes even a committee to have Infomark do additional services. That has to be approved by the board. And Mackenzie's come up against that a couple of times, I think. So the policy up to this point is an individual director would not contact a contractor that's on a base fee to ask for chargeable additional services. Now, what I'm hearing from Linda is she didn't know it was chargeable. What I'm hearing from Touchstone is, or what people are saying is it's definitely chargeable as additional. It's not in our base fee. So I think going forward, I think we need to be very clear with the directors and the vendors as to who's authorized to ask for something that results in additional services, additional fees.
And the vendors need to be made aware if there is a charge, they need to make that clear regardless of who's asking for it, so that committees know they don't go out and rack up fees over $1,000 or whatever those additional service vendor. Well, you and Herb and Sage have those additional service fee contracts. Touchstone doesn't, so they need to be really clear if anybody calls them for information that they need to say there'll be a charge for that and this is what that charge will be. And then
that's a well-known that we all know that if we ask them to do anything for us, that we are being charged for that.
Well, no, I didn't know that. When I asked the question, does your system generate reports? They said yes, and we should be handing those to you when we come to your meetings. And then they said, and then I said, well, what kind of reports can you do? And then he gave me an example. So if there was a charge for it, he didn't make that clear.
Megan, when Touchstone touched base with you, when they contacted you, what did they say exactly? That they were gonna invoice us an additional charge for a request Linda made? Did they say they notified her in any
And
way?
did they call you before or after they did the work? Because that seems a little fishy too.
They called after and they said they did it because I don't know. He would have to answer the question about
Yeah,
why.
I think we need him to answer the question, because if he, number one, if he called you after I did something, that leads me to wonder, why is he calling you? And number two, if he was concerned enough to call you after the fact, he should have said something to me.
Well,
Okay.
so
So why don't we do this? Why don't
information-
we do this instead of go back and forth? Let's get all the information. Let's table this for the next meeting on the 26th. Can we add this to the 26th meeting, Bill, or is it too late?
It's not too late. We can add it to the May 26th meeting.
Okay. Why don't we table it till then, till next week, and Catherine will be back, and we'll have additional information so we can make because I mean, I don't have any problems with motion number one, but I don't see how a motion can make a director pay a fee. I don't know how that works. I don't know if we can do that or not. I need to find out, No motion number two.
That's not my primary goal. My primary goal is to make sure that moving forward, it's not going to be.
Same here. So motion one would be, I don't have any problem with that. I don't think anybody on the board does. But
What was
motion
motion
two,
one? What was motion one? Can you read it again? Make
yeah,
the-
vendors, contractors formally notified they can accept approval for additional services from a full board or the specific subcommittee working with the vendor. The vendor will be given the subcommittee and the members' names. They are authorized to accept additional work authorization. I'm reading it verbatim. So that's what the motion says. So then, in a nutshell, it says, the committees can authorize additional work services for the additional work the contractor does. In a nutshell.
So for contracts that have a base fee,
Good point.
Pulling
There are
our
contracts that have a base fee. Yeah.
that there should be no charge. Pulling records should be no charge, or running a report, I should say. Running a report takes 3 seconds.
Guys, I hate to do this, but the
Right, not a
nurse
base
just,
fee so much, but it's got, if it's
I need
not
to
in the
go.
contract, it's got to be in the contract. If they do those kind of reports.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and Infomark definitely has it in theirs, and there is some kind of language in Sages about reporting, well, that they have a shared drive. You see, if they had their shared drive, nobody would have to ask them for anything. You could go help yourself. But
board
you know,
members, I have to go. The nurse is standing here and it's time for me that I have to go, like right
Okay.
now.
bye.
Okay, well, we're almost done with this. So let's table this till next week. Does everybody agree?
Okay.
Okay. Megan, you okay with that?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
But do we need, what information do we need from Touchstone? Because,
Well, you have the cost, but,
I have their emails.
okay, so you can present the emails.
yeah, but the question came up, why did they do the work?
Okay, that's a good point. I
So-
mean, any vendor, if they're directed by a board member to do work, I think they're gonna do it. They're gonna oblige them. So,
Well,
mean-
yeah, I think that's kind of the issue is they weren't going to say no, but then they
they should have
realized,
communicated. Yeah,
right, they were being respectful and communicating with the committee. that
But
know
they
that
should have said, and I'm going to send the gentleman an email this evening. He should have said that there would be a charge. He implied it was something that they should have been doing all along in his email to me. That he said, I should have thought to present this when I come to the meetings because it is useful information. It really isn't useful information, but I just said, well, I'd just like to see what you have so that I can see what kind of traffic is happening on the web, because I'm looking for an increase in web traffic is what I was wanting to watch. But they don't capture the information to make it useful. So it didn't work, but you have to look
Okay.
sometimes to know.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, so we'll table this till the 26th.
And then
I'm
Bill,
good.
it would be helpful for you to figure out how you're going to tap into my fees of office to pay for a vendor's invoice. I'd like to know how you're going to do that.
Nobody
I'm
authorized.
probably not going to spend any time or money on it at the moment. So
Yeah, that's probably not
next
a good,
meeting.
yeah,
No.
that's probably a good idea.
Okay. All righty, so let's go to the next item. Anything else on this? Does anybody want to expand on this any further?
Nope.
Okay. Number 11, minutes from prior or regular meetings, consideration of minutes previously.
Yeah, so
approved.
in your manager's packet, part 1, yeah, Lee's asking a question to you. Those motions that Art read, that Catherine wrote, are not actual motions. Catherine can't make a motion without being here, and Art didn't actually make those motions. He just read a statement, so it was just a
Okay,
statement.
Thank you.
Yes.
sorry, Lee.
Okay, so in your packet, your manager's packet, part 1, you have 3 sets of minutes in there, I think, April 12th, April 21, and April 28 that you can consider tonight.
I read them, but I didn't look at the video, so they look good to me. There was one part on the public comments where David was there that was kind of foggy. I didn't understand what that was trying to say, but other than that, they look accurate. But again, I didn't look at video, so. Anybody else want to approve the minutes or?
Lee, did I already respond to those dates, the minutes with those dates?
Yes, you did. So the newest versions were the ones that were included in the packet.
Did we have any discrepancies between what I suggested and what you did?
There was an issue, I think, from the April 28th minutes. Let me see if I can find that. It was some verbiage about the FEMA funds.
Oh, did you fix them so that it actually reflects what happened at the meeting?
Yeah, I can change it to what you want it to be. It's fine.
Other than that, if you're doing that, make it match. It's an official record, so it has to be recorded right. I've already done my review of them and given my corrections to Mackenzie or to Lee.
So do you approve as amended?
I do, as amended. Do you want me to make a motion?
Yes, please.
I motion that the minutes from April 12th and April 21st and April 28th be approved as amended or
Okay.
with amendments.
With amendments.
Did I get them all?
Yes, you did.
I got them.
So
Okay, I'll
Linda,
second.
that's okay. Linda, can we be specific about what amendments you're talking about that aren't reflected in the packet?
If she's already made the changes, then they're already in the packet. Lee, is that correct?
I had some verbiage that was in the packet that you had wanted adjusted, but it hadn't been adjusted for the minutes in the packet.
Okay, it's on April 28th minutes.
I believe so, but I can't find the item right now.
Okay, well, she's looking for that. I'll briefly tell you what it was. There was a set of minutes in here about the discussion of going after FEMA funds. And she ended it with something to the effect, and I'm just paraphrasing here, but Mackenzie would go after, would find a source and Bill would tell her how to do it or something. Anyways, I listened to the meeting. That never happened. Mackenzie had relayed in the meeting that she had talked to some colleagues and nobody was able to get any funds or figure out how to do it. And that's where the discussion ended. There was no promise of doing anything more. So I had her adjust the minutes to reflect that. And that was the only change to make, because the meeting did not say any action was going to happen after that point. Now, tonight, of course, we learned that she did find a source and she was able to apply for FEMA funds. But in that meeting, there was no discussion of doing anything more. She had exhausted her avenue and it was the end of it. So the meeting minutes needed to reflect that.
So that's the only amendment to the minutes that were in the packet.
Yes.
So if you agree to include that in your motion and Art Reed seconds it, I think we can vote on it.
That would be a part of the motion.
Do you know what item that was, agenda item that was?
It was actually from April 21st, and it is agenda item 5, the 9th bullet point down.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
The last sentence.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
last sentence.
Ms. Gale confirmed the insurance can replace the shrubs or trees and blah, 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 100 feet. District is eligible for FEMA funds. Another district impacted by the storm was assigned FEMA registration. So that's where you send appropriate contact information. Okay. All right. I will second the.
So just take that last sentence out, Lee, and then you're fine.
Yeah, I'll second that motion to accept the minutes. Okay. Are we done with that?
Well, you need to vote.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Megan,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
and I vote yes too. Beth is gone, correct?
Yes, she's gone.
Okay.
But you still have a quorum, so you can
Yeah,
vote on
yeah.
it, which you did.
All right, so now we're on item 12, future board meetings. Schedule and scope of the agendas. Do we have anything other than what we just talked about to add to the meeting on is it the 26th? Yeah, 26th.
Yeah, the next meeting's May 26th. Allison sent out an email, you probably saw it, that we'd like any additional items by noon tomorrow, because we have to post soon thereafter. Linda's already submitted a list, but if anybody has anything else they want to put on there besides what we talked about tonight, please email me and copy Allison by noon tomorrow. And it's real important that you get us the list so we can review it and get it on, and then we have to have, Catherine approves the final version. So if you could get it tomorrow morning, that would be great.
Okay. So tomorrow morning's the deadline.
Yeah, by noon.
Okay, for the meeting on the 26th of May, 6 o'clock.
Correct.
Okay. I may or may not be able to get on that meeting. I'm going to be up in the mountains. I'm in a small little village. It doesn't even have a street light, so it's, I don't know if I can, use my hotspot or not. If I can, I will get on the meeting. I will let Catherine know early morning if I can find a place to log in. Okay.
Does anybody else have a conflict with that date? Megan or Linda, are you available?
26th?
26th, yeah, 6 p.m.
You're talking next Wednesday, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm fine.
Yeah, the only reason I'm asking is if Art can't make it, then we start getting to the point where we might not have a quorum, but it sounds like we'll probably be okay.
Yeah, unless.
I tried to reply to your email, Bill, your invitation with the I will attend, but it wants to CC everybody on the distribution list when I do that. So that's why I don't do that.
Yeah, so you can just send me don't reply to the invite part, because that does trigger all those other email addresses. Just send me a separate email if you need to, or just, can you accept the invitation on your computer? Is your computer set up to just
I'm
hit
gonna
it?
try right now with the meeting that we're in.
Yeah, if you hit the tab accept, it'll say send response now or don't send response. And those responses just come to me.
I will be attending the meeting.
Well,
No, it addresses it to everybody.
okay, your computer might be set up different, but when there's a tab where you go under the invite that would say I accept, and then it says send response now. That response only comes to me.
Yeah, I don't have that tab.
Okay.
Wow.
That's fair enough. So what I would suggest is you just create a separate email just to me and say I'll be at the meeting or I can attend or something like that.
Well, you know what? Let me just say this. I operate in a different kind of a principle here. If you don't hear from me, you can bet I will be there. The only
Okay.
time you're going to hear from me is when I'm not showing up.
All right, we'll put you down for you'll be there unless you say.
Unless I say so, exactly.
Okay. All right.
That way I don't have to email you all the time. I will only email you when I will not be present.
Good point.
That's fine. And at some point when we're having a conversation about something else, we'll double check to see if your system can do that.
Okay.
Other acceptance.
All right. Well, and that brings us to item 13. Megan, why don't you do the honors?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second. Everybody say
Oh, yes.
yes. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
May or may not see you next week.